Morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, and welcome to a special NerdTube presentation. We are here tonight to do a live watch along with the new Avalon Universe Star Trek fan film premiere, Knights of the Void. Afterwards, we'll be having a very special interview with the cast.
Oh, no,
Shaking
go
your
ahead,
head?
Mage.
Oh, I thought you were correcting me. I'm so
No, no, no,
sorry.
no, no.
Um,
No.
Afterwards, we'll be doing a very special interview with the cast and crew, including Mr. Tyler Donovan and Joshua Irwin. Very much looking forward to that and looking forward to the film. Always get good things out of this outfit, and I'm sure that tonight's installment will be no exception to that. Um, it wouldn't be Star Trek content on here on NerdTube without my fellow Trekkies in arms here to view the film and help with the interview tonight are Admiral J to my right. Good evening, sir.
That's right. I'm here to create. I'm here to commit war crimes as Admiral Way.
Very good. Hopefully, no more crimes during the interview. Down below is Lieutenant Zam. How are you this evening?
Ready for duty, sir. Looking forward to this fan film, a year in the making, I may add, and also the interview straight afterwards with the fan film actors and creators.
Yeah, it's sure to be a fine installment. Um, Looking forward to it. What are you guys' expectations for the content this evening? Start with you, Lieutenant Zam.
Um, I'll be honest with you, they've been knocking out the park recently with a variety of different content, different sets, locations, actors as well. They've really mixed up with all of them. It's not just on Tyler's shoulders playing Captain Mason all the time. Josh has got a keen eye, excellent writer as well. So in a way, they've got standards that they have to live up to, and I hope they maintain those standards. Whatever they give us, I just hope it's good.
Definitely, when you consistently put out quality product like they have, you set the bar high for yourself, and but I'm sure they're going to hit the mark this evening. How about you, Admiral J-Way? What are your expectations for this evening's show?
I think we're definitely going to get TOS Riker, which is bearded Mason. I don't know if you guys have seen the thumbnail art, but yeah, he is a Mason's gonna have a beard, so I guess we're going all Riker.
By
He's
this
doing the
picture I
Riker
see of
maneuver on
him,
his face.
by this picture I see of him, he's got more tash than beard. He's got a bit of a Tom Selleck going on. You know what I mean?
Can we bring that up?
Yeah, I can bring that up. There we go.
Actually, that's a different picture than what I have in the thumbnail. I think.
It's the same one.
I don't. I'd have to look. I don't remember. But no, I mean, I'm expecting, as Zam said, not them knocking it out of the park as usual. I mean, you know, Avalon is always delivered and always Avalon is always delivered and just never really disappointed us. So, I mean, I'm glad that we're going to be able to be here for the live premiere of their film, and I'm also glad that we are going to see. Uh, we're going to be able to talk to the gentleman right afterwards and be able to ask our hard hitting questions about this fan film.
Yeah, I mean they're great folks and friends of the channel, but we're still going to do right by our journalistic integrity and hit it with our fair but critical eye and ask the hard questions.
Yeah, and also, by the way, if it isn't good, we're not going to hold back either. I won't be, I won't necessarily be cruel, but I'm not going to show any favoritism. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's not what we're about here, and none of us, I wouldn't expect that out of any of us.
Yeah,
So we've got Phony Beatlemaniac joining us in the chat. Thank
that
you
is
for
boss
being
man.
here. That's ah Hello, boss man. Thanks for joining us.
Just quickly messaging the people here.
Are you talking about in the live chat over on
Yeah,
the
for
thing?
yeah.
Already up to 38 waiting over there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's an Avalon product. I mean, come on, like
Those numbers are going to be way higher by the time 8 o'clock rolls around.
now you just put the pressure on them. The heat is on. So what alien races do you think we're going to see in this one? I'm thinking we're going to see Klingons.
You're thinking Klingons?
I have no idea. I don't know. Knights of the Void just kind of sounds like a Klingon. Like,
God, it sounds very Star Trekky, to tell you the truth.
it does.
Sorry, Star Warsy. I meant, sorry.
I think it sounds more Star Trek. Knights of the Void. Well, I mean, I guess Knights being Jedi Knights.
The Old Republic, and all that. Yeah.
Maybe Andorians. Maybe we could get some members of the Imperial Guard.
My mum was Andorians. I've seen Andorians being done a lot in Star Trek fan films, whether it be within the Avalon Universe or other universes we've reviewed in the past. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go down that route. Vulcans are easy ones to do, just with the ears. Yeah.
Daniel Vance saying evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening,
joining us.
Also, we have to wish a happy birthday to Josh Irwin today, the director and writer and creator of the Avalon Universe. Josh Irwin, who will be on here later. It is his birthday.
How old is he?
Oh, I don't know. I never ask a lady their age.
But film producers are fair game, though, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about Star Trek's Punisher, M'Benga.
We're gonna talk about M'Benga some more.
We got 5 minutes left.
We need to talk about something. Let's continue that debate from last night, because that was interesting. Like, I didn't want to drop.
But it went on for an hour and 42 minutes.
It was for me one of the most controversial things, but what it was for me as well was not the fact that M'Benga necessarily killed somebody, which is not necessarily out of character for him. What it was the culmination of all of that. It just felt like, all right, he's dead. We just killed this reasonably important person. No trial, nothing like that. Just gonna move on and put it behind us. Like it just seemed very throwaway in that sense.
It was what I mean. Yes, exactly. It was a very abrupt ending, and feels like there should have been at least one more scene setting up some sort of ramifications.
Yeah, it's a two-parter for sure in that sense,
No, I think it was just as long as it needed to be. Sorry. I think it was, as I said, a perfect filler episode. It didn't need to run 2 episodes long. It was what it needed to be, and not perfect episode, but it was like a perfect filler episode.
This is one of the most dire episodes of Strange New Worlds in recent memory, and I just think with all the levity we've been getting with Strange New Worlds, I think having an episode like this is but one extreme to the other. We're gonna have laughs and jokes. Now we're gonna make it, really sad and lots of death and PTSD and all of that. Now we're gonna go back to laugh and jokes again. It's just, so.
No, and I agree. As I said, it is a weird placement in the season, because last week we had Lower Decks. Next week we have the musical. So I really feel it is a weird place in the season to put it. That I will agree with you on.
Most definitely. But no, a little more consistency with the tone. I mean, it doesn't have to be identical episode to episode, but the tone ranging so widely is been problematic to me, and is kind of diminishing some of my enjoyment the further into this season we get.
Yeah, like the episode where they were forgetting their memory and stuff. That was a good episode.
It
That
was.
was a really good episode, and
It was
yeah,
just
that was
serious
that.
enough.
Yeah, exactly, and like it had moments of levity within it as well. So, and it was more like problem solving and stuff like that, which is something I like to see in Star Trek too as well. So yeah, that was good. So an episode of that sort of level is what we needed yesterday, and or the day before, and we never really got that.
By the way, when we do Debatamania, this is going to be how the commentators are set up, and the matches are going to be below us. Might as well plug Debatamania. So.
Oh yes, by the way, so myself and Mage will be going at it now. We're going to be talking about Enterprise. I mean, so good of a Star Trek show that doesn't even have the word fucking Star Trek on it. But nevertheless,
it does.
It does.
No, it's just called Enterprise.
It's Star Trek Enterprise.
No,
oh yeah, they added it on to you know what? Yeah, they added it on because people are fucking stupid. Yeah, but nevertheless, I don't want to use all my ammunition right now. Rinsing on this fucking piece of shit show. Which, don't get me wrong, I did watch, and I was a little bit upset that it ended, but abruptly and prematurely. But that's because it's shit. But nevertheless, we can talk about it when Debatamania comes around, motherfuckers.
End of August.
End of August.
It's coming fast. There's going to be a bunch of other great bouts. The chat's going to choose the winners in a poll. So it's going to be up to you guys. Yes, we've got Phony Beatlemaniac Boss Man plugging his match.
Oh, and Boss Man and Vance have already gone back and forth with promos on our Facebook chat.
Yeah, that was a beautiful promo by Vance.
Oh, I know. I wanted him to go full Menard, like full Mirror Menard on it, and he kind of found that middle ground where it's like Vance Major and like Mirror Menard. So it's like that perfect blend of good. It's like Lore and Data. It's that perfect blend between.
So I'll have to cut mine soon.
So I do
tomorrow.
I do maybe plan on throwing a promo package together with like any of the promos and stuff that people cut for me.
We need to throw it up as reels.
Yeah, reels. I mean, yeah, we could definitely do that. Holy crap. Absolutely. See, Mage, this is why you're the host, the Golden Glasses award-winning host of 2022, baby.
It's my honor to be chosen by our fans.
That's right.
It really was. And I'm here for the fans. I mean, I don't like hearing myself talk that much.
Here we go. Well, we got 2 minutes.
Countdown.
Zam, can you maximize that yet or no?
Let me check.
Enhance.
Yes, I can. And I can put some volume on there as well.
Main screen turn on. There's the pixels.
Oh, bollocks. I keep getting a mini window. There we go.
You may want to turn it up a little bit once the movie or the film starts, because like this, because this screen. No, don't turn it up now, because this thing is really loud.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, just turn it up when it starts.
Yeah, I remember this being really loud the last time I was here.
Daniel Vance says now in 1080p. That's right, NerdTube in 1080p.
We're totally with the times.
Jim Landscape says hello, Commodore Boone.
Hello, Boone.
Boss Man says, however, on a legit note, will be brought up in the debate on Batman franchise in regards to adaptations in other media has more hits than misses. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, got a little preview of
Remember,
Boss Man versus Vance Major.
Keep your point short and sweet, and don't ramble too much. That's all I can say for you, boss man. Remember that. Be very self-conscious when you're rambling.
Oh, no, you've got 1 minute. Like, you are on a timer. You have 1 minute to respond, and then your opponent has a minute to respond. And if you ramble too much, you'll miss your whole point. You know what I mean? Like, so... that's what I'm saying, man. When we have referees... Oh, here we go, baby.
The greatest day of my entire life.
All right.
What are we gonna do? This isn't even our ship.
I guess this is where we find out if we're here for a reason.
Oh, wow. Good old cyberpunk.
Knights of the Void. Nagu, agu, tak, tak.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. They have seen some action.
Yorktown.
Hotboxing
Please tell me I have
with
good
Jeffrey
news.
Soup.
I made it to engineering.
That qualifies.
There are a lot of people injured down here and a few dead. It's a mess.
Now, if I could just find a way to the bridge.
You can make it through Jeffrey's Tube 12, but
But what?
there's a hull breach on Deck 1. Force fields are down, life support's failed.
Is anyone still alive up there?
No. Captain, that puts you in command of the ship. Captain?
Well, he is the captain.
Can you give me a damage report?
Warp and impulse systems are both down, phasers are out too.
We were only hit twice. How could it do that much damage?
I don't know.
I have to find a place
Lots
to
of
take command of
bullets.
what's left anyway.
We've got a warp core
Hold on.
breach.
You can take Junction 15 to auxiliary control.
On it.
Captain Mason!
The Captain
Hey,
Mason.
Back from the dead. Lieutenant Jones, Lieutenant Rook.
It's, Commander now. First officer, actually. Such as it bloody is.
Well deserved, Commander. All right, what do we have left to play with?
Maneuvering thrusters and the navigational deflector. We have partial shields, but we can't stand another attack.
So who the hell is attacking us?
That I can't help you with. Romulans.
Oh, I was wrong. I said
course.
Klingons.
Plasma torpedoes. But they shouldn't have been that effective against us.
course.
Why haven't they finished us off?
They're not even bothering to clamp. They got us dead to rights, and they know it.
Any sign of boarding parties?
No, sir.
They opened fire using a regular disruptor blast, not even at full power, and waited until we raised our shields to attack with the torpedo.
They're testing their new torpedo's effectiveness against our shields.
They report back it was that effective?
The Romulans attack in force. We gotta stop them here.
Perhaps it's a new type of weapon. Something that, takes a bit of time to recharge.
Gives us a little bit of breathing room, but not much. Jamie, can we fire a full power deflector beam from the main dish?
Not without blowing the dish in every single relay.
Rig it up.
I'll need a few minutes.
You have seconds.
If I don't align this properly, the recoil could breach the reactor core.
How do I aim the deflector?
You'll have to use thrusters to aim the entire ship. Jones, you'll operate firing controls.
Aye, sir.
Jamie, it's now or never.
Romulans.
Do it!
Do it now.
Fire the laser.
Activate main deflector.
Get in the butt of prey. Got to go get some whales.
Steady, Mr. Rook. You can do this.
Better do something quick.
And the Romulans are just like still going? Like what?
Oh yeah, they're playing a video game. I mean, they could have shot that ship out the sky anytime.
Jamie, you
But
still with us?
Yes, but maybe not for long. The core is about to breach. Use the manual backup. Cycling power through ventral relay.
Warning. Reactor core ejection sequence is active.
Everyone hold on. That's it. All we have left is the battery.
Hopefully it's
I can maintain life
Double
support
A.
for maybe a week. After that, it's over.
Oh, that was just the beginning
Oh.
of the episode. Nice.
that was a prelude.
Yeah. Hey! There's our boy, Vance Major. Captain Menard himself, the Stanley of fan films.
God, I'm so excited I could burst.
Yes, they were firing from their deflector dish, not the
Sensors
reflector
confirmed
dish.
the first disruptor salvo from the
Boss
Romulan
man.
was only at 25% power.
They wanted us to raise shields.
If you compare the energy readings from the plasma torpedo attack on the Enterprise 6 years ago, it's 50% more powerful.
That recharge time, though, makes it too slow to be completely effective in a larger engagement.
The emitter is capable of firing an even more powerful burst. They just don't have a power source capable of charging fast enough.
So they would need a greater source of power.
Jones to Captain Mason.
Go ahead.
We have the bridge back up and running, sir.
Good work. On my way.
Oh man, she's
That's up and running. Alright, fair enough.
How many people did we lose on the bridge?
Everyone.
8. We stowed the bodies in the morgue.
Sarah, can you plan a service for 1,200 hours tomorrow?
Aye, sir.
Oh, a 1,200-hour service. That's gonna be pretty long. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Great one.
Zam, leave the dad jokes to me.
Alright.
I'm kidding, jeez.
Sam's a bird dad. He can make dad
He is a
jokes.
bird dad.
Yeah. I'm a bird dog.
Captain, we have a Klingon ship approaching.
Ah, there are Klingons!
Oh, vindicated.
Are they arming weapons?
No, sir.
On screen.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's an old style bird of prey.
Captain, they're hailing us.
Do they have any new ships, the Klingons?
On
Everything's
screen.
pretty old.
Well, that's an
No, they're like
Enterprise
the
era.
Soviets.
Hello.
Whoa.
Nice cranial.
Oh, brother, it's fucking. Let me tell you something, Captain Mason.
So, I have to ask, brother?
My dad got drunk on Arcanus 4 one night.
Right.
Energize.
And he knocked up a Klingon woman. Not bad, Mason mom. Or Mason dad.
Hello again, little brother.
Voila. How do you know the Romulans are going to invade?
I've been tracking Commander Kamak's activities in service of the Chancellor for 6
Ooh.
years. He almost succeeded in overthrowing the High Council before your friends stopped him.
Do you know what happened to my friends?
No. Only that since he's been banished to Romulus, he's gained the full support of the Romulans for his cause.
Why would the Council break off the alliance with the Romulans?
Because they're trying to steal our military secrets, while undermining the Empire from within.
Why attack the Federation?
First, Kamak wants revenge.
That's some pretty good looking
He
ridges
believes
right there.
That if his combined forces win a decisive battle against Starfleet, it will sway the majority of the Empire behind him. Second, he wants to prove that the Organians won't intervene. But most of all, he wants to appeal to the Empire's lust for battle.
Why?
Enough questions! He must act now!
Fine. Tow us back to Starbase 6.
I cannot. You've been gone too long already. The Chancellor allowed me to give you this one warning because he wants Kamak to fail. If we do not return soon, others will become suspicious.
My ship's a wreck. What am I supposed to do with this information?
Our father knew that you were dead.
I was going to say that.
He had a vision that could only have come from Stovo Core, that you would return and fight in a glorious battle.
Mason's a part of a prophecy?
It was his final wish that we fight that battle together. When the time comes, I will be there by your side. But until then, you will know what to do.
I really felt like they should have gave him
You're
some like
making this
biker
shit up.
gloves.
I'm flattered you think I'm that creative.
These Klingons always have gloves on.
Yes, my Klingon half-brother told me that the Romulans
Fingerless
have some
gloves.
new way of powering the torpedoes on some experimental ship. It's all on this memory bank he gave me.
Of course. We think Romulan ships use an artificial quantum singularity as their power source.
A black hole.
The only way to enhance that would be with a source of energy from beyond normal spacetime, and the energy signature from this intel confirms it.
Somehow they've captured one of the aliens from the cosmic stream.
It's the exact same energy signature as 5 years ago.
Now how do we warn Starfleet and call for help?
I think I have a plan for that. We're only about 25 degrees off from the direct signal link between Starbase 6 and the outer subspace relay station. We could reach the beam in 6 hours using our shuttle. Now, the Yorktown moved outside of the shuttle's comm range with the starbase before it engaged the Romulans, but I think I could use the shuttle's engines to create interference in the signal to send an SOS, if we position the shuttle right in the signal path.
Could be dangerous if there are other Romulan ships out there. We'd be waving our arms, inviting them to find us.
I've died before. Well, almost.
Yeah, me too. I'll pilot the shuttle myself. We'll do this together.
Again.
You're in command now. Hell, you probably should have been the captain a long time ago. I know I can count on you.
We'll be all right, sir. You, be careful.
Never.
There's Sam Rockwell there from Tyler.
The distortion is consistent and repeating. Should be able to see it by now.
You mean Samuel Cockings?
Who knows how long it's going to take him to figure it out.
No.
Oh, I thought you were
Definitely
talking
not.
about this, the CG.
So, how did you and Eric
No.
become friends?
Talking about the demeanor.
Gotcha.
My first posting was in the nacelle tube. Most boring posting available. And one night I let it get the better of me, and I forgot to switch out a plasma relay. Almost blew up the entire Valiant.
Oh, God.
And then he reported
girl.
me to Ramirez.
Well, that's quite mature of you to not get upset with him.
Oh no, I was very immature and very furious.
What changed?
He took up for me the next day. He told me that I was a good engineer and that I just needed to focus and believe in myself. He was the first person in Starfleet to see me for who I really was. Not just a pretty face or my last name.
Well, I suppose even in the 23rd century, it's hard for some people to look past the surface.
And hard to let your guard down when people
Pretty
want
presumptuous.
you
She
who you
thinks
really
she's
are.
just a pretty. She's a pretty face.
Courageous and brilliant?
You're so vain.
Look, a ship!
Look!
You saw it before it materialized.
Damn it!
It was a good plan, Jamie.
Yeah, now we're both gonna die.
Probably, yeah.
Just take it in their stride.
Oh, here we go. Mason's about. See, he got the beard, so he's gonna get his Riker on now. This is the other Riker maneuver he's adopting.
Who's to the rescue?
So wait, is that a Klingon or is that a Romulan D7?
You guys need a lift.
Almost as much as I need a change of pants, sir.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's that dreadnought, baby.
The Fast and Furious of Starfleet ships.
TMP uniform.
Did you time that rescue to the last second on purpose?
Figured it'd be more dramatic that way. Truth is, without that Cochrane distortion, we would have had no idea where to find the Yorktown after we lost our transponder.
Jamie's pretty clever.
What happened?
Romulans are testing a new weapon. It's a prelude.
to invasion. For money.
Lieutenant Lamont, is there any further sign of Romulan activity in the area?
Negative, sir. Their last known heading was 111 Mark 14. Back to Romulan space.
Commander Jansen, tactical analysis.
It's been my experience that Romulans never do anything on a whim. If they're this far into Federation space, they've got something big planned. And now that they know we're onto them, they'll be back before we can get reinforcements into the sector.
Status of the Yorktown.
Completely disabled, hull compromised. The damage is consistent with the plasma torpedo hit.
They only hit us once.
I think their hull can withstand our tractor beam. I recommend we return to the starbase.
Proceed, Commander. Comms, let Admiral Slater know that I'm going to need to meet with him as soon as we dock. Engage.
Oh, is it to be continued, huh?
Maybe, yeah. Or obviously, there's probably an after credits. They're doing a Marvel. Will return.
Yeah.
The once and future captain.
First Knights now, once and future captain, a little bit of Arthurian theming out of Josh.
Well, when's Crisis on Infinite Excaliburs then? I thought that was the one that was coming next.
No, we can ask him when he comes in.
Yep. I know they've been working on Crisis on Infinite Excaliburs for a while. So. And no Menard cameo. You know, that guy on the left there looks like Odo in that photo. You see the guy in the yellow uniform?
He does look like Rene Auberjonois.
Yeah, that's how you say his name. I can never say his name. Hey, producer Glenn Wolfe. We know that guy.
Josh does the editing himself. Wow.
Oh yeah, Josh does all the editing. All right there, visual effects supervisor Samuel Cockings. They have to pay to put him in the credits too. That's $500 to put me in your credits, mate.
Wonder how far the Kingsland set is from me.
All right.
Wait, is there an after credits or is that it? It's still black. Nope, that's it.
Oh man.
Okay, minimize, close, all of that shit.
All right.
So we're just waiting on those boys to pop in at some particular point.
Well, we can still talk about the film.
Yeah,
for
get
sure.
some impressions out there. Maybe hold up. Do we want to mark it?
Yeah, we can do all of our stuff now, and then we can just interview them. You know, once they get here.
That sounds like the move. So
Hello, Myth Dustards. Welcome to the stream.
Hello. So I was impressed, not shocked, but very impressed, very entertained. How about you, fellas?
I mean,
You can ask first. So go on, Cheats.
Oh, yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I mean, it's kind of setting up for things. It's obviously things to come. The once and future captain, and also, as I said, Crisis on Infinite Excaliburs is coming in the near future. So, I mean, I'm very happy. I mean, we got to see Romulans and Klingons in this episode, which is always great. I love seeing Romulans and Klingons. Mason has a half brother that's a Klingon. I don't know if we knew that or not. So I don't know if we knew that, but yeah, we have people filtering in. So I'm just gonna run Zam while you talk. I'm gonna kind of run through the comments here. So go ahead, your impressions.
I have to say, visually, this was one of the most impressive Avalon fan films that I've ever seen. I was blown away. You know, like the quality of this was fantastic. I'll be honest with you, I got a little bit lost at times regarding the story, but that's not taking away from like the performances, the sets, the visuals. In a way, I'm a little bit upset that we never got a conclusion to all of this, but I totally understand why not, because fan films like this are very difficult to make. So what we got was reasonably enjoyable. I had a good time seeing Josh and Tyler do their thing so perfectly. I mean, Tyler's just natural now as Mason, isn't he? Like he's a duck to water playing that particular character. And it's always good to see Josh. It's always good to see Josh come back in any capacity, but usually he's behind the camera. And so to get any sort of cameo, from him, a bit of a, a small sort of like director style sort of cameo from him was pretty cool as well. And I look forward to seeing where the story takes us next year.
Definitely. I agree with you. The visuals, the effects for those displays was just top notch. So definitely gonna have to ask them to plug their VFX guy once we get them.
VFX, we know exactly who that is. That's Sam Cockins, baby. Mr. Money Man himself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hope these guys didn't go broke hiring him.
I mean,
all right. So are we gonna start by marking it?
Let's
for sure.
Because I know we at least have one of our guests waiting in the backstage, so we can at least bring him in after we mark it. So I'll start. I'm gonna give it a solid 9. This week's episode of Strange New Worlds, if you're watching this on the rewind, the Mbenga and the Klingon diplomat episode, actually I feel are very similar. They're kind of filler episodes, but they're the good kind of filler episodes. Like they're kind of leading up to more to come type of thing. And we get character expansion obviously on Mason. We get to see more of Josh's character. I can't remember the name of Josh's actual in Avalon Universe character, but yeah, I mean, I really feel like that this was a great starting, maybe a prelude to something to come. But even in its own right, though, it was still really good. Them having to repair the ship and just go for broke, and using the deflector dish as kind of a as a defense mechanism.
Admiral Austin, and give me a hell yeah.
Yeah. So I'm giving it a 9. It was very good, well acted, and I mean, and it was so great to see Captain Mason and is it Admiral Austin? Is that what it
Admiral
is?
Austin,
yeah. So it was so great to see, because I don't think I've seen those two side by side before. They might have been side by side before, but in the fan films I've seen, I haven't really seen them really. I think they were talking to one another in a fan film once, but they weren't like sitting side by side like that, kind of bouncing off of one another within the same room, it seemed like. but this just felt like more of a because I think
Joseph
actually,
Austin, we've got Josh in the chat here. By the way, he'll be joining us shortly. Don't worry, everyone. We will be speaking to Tyler and Josh shortly. But Joshua has called him Joseph Austin, so he's named after his son.
Okay. So I felt, and actually I think they were more at odds in that scene. The more I'm talking about, the more I remember. But it was great to see them kind of side by side here rather than across the table from one another in that fan film. So, but yeah. So sorry I rambled. Go ahead, Sam.
I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. I did like it. One of the things that's very hard to do in fan film generally is some of that space battle sort of stuff. It can be, it's very easy. Well, I don't want to say easy, but it's a more simpler path to try and give you a more convincing story and a more engaging story, dialogue heavy and all of that. When doing a Star Trek fan film, but at the same time, Star Trek has been known for its glorious space battles over the years, and they gave us one in this fan film. And I very much appreciated that. And, all the moving about, when they're getting blasted or crashing and stuff like that. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Nice little throwback. And we also then continue with a good story as well, which will hopefully lead to better things. So, 8 out of 10. Once again, the visuals, absolutely fantastic. And also the other things that always are fantastic. The sets, as we are commonly known now, that are great. The costumes are great. Acting was good. I don't want to put I can't say it was great. I don't want to necessarily say great. There were some people better than others at times, but it was good enough, and it's enjoyable. I'm not, we're not talking, Oscar-winning performances here. These are just regular people doing the best they can in front of a camera. It was good. It was fun. I enjoyed it. 8 out of 10.
Okay. Excellent. Very fair points as well. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 9. I enjoyed it very much. I've appreciated the balance of character-driven moments and the action scenes. There was a good blend of Star Trek science with action, and it just, ticks all the boxes. Solid performances, great visually. The music, the score really stood out to me this time around. 9 out of 10. Just thoroughly impressed.
Okay.
So we have the gentleman backstage ready to join us.
We have Captain Mason himself right here.
McFly!
Good evening. Hello, Tyler. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Thanks for having me. And thanks for watching and reacting. We always love watching you guys. This time we did it a little different when we did Cosmic Stream, which was the first reaction that we watched of you guys live. I actually watched your reaction video to that rather than watching the premiere. And then we came on with you afterwards. For the sake of view count, we had to be loyal to our own channel. So Josh and Neil and I, we're over at Neil's house, our director of photography. We actually watched the premiere, so we haven't seen your reaction yet, and I'm looking forward to doing that after I go home. So, but a pleasure as always to be here and have you guys reacting to our film. So thank you.
Oh, it's our pleasure to be here, and thank you for putting out the kind of quality content that we look forward to coming and reacting to, and it doesn't feel like a chore. So, thank you.
It doesn't feel like a chore to make it either. It's always,
that shows. That is apparent. The love that goes into your projects is very apparent, and it shows through in quality.
Thank you.
So, riveting performance this week, and I must say I really loved the chemistry between you and Josh on screen. Like, the friendship really shines through. I know that back when I acted, I found that we got better scenes when I was working with somebody I just really clicked with, and I think that was on display in a big way tonight.
Well, good. I'm glad that came through. The first scene that we did together, it was the first scene of our first, the opening, not the first thing we shot, but it was the opening scene of our first film. And the second Avalon film that you guys reacted to, because Zam and Cheeto, you guys had watched Demons first and hated it, and I did too. To be honest,
notoriously,
I was the one I wasn't in, so I suggested to you guys, hey, go back and watch Ghost Ship. and then you did, and I watched your reaction to that, and the very first scene of Ghost Ship Part 1 was, Admiral Austin, telling Mason, I'm like, what's my character's name? Telling Mason, hey, you're going on this mission. And I remember Zam, you were saying, I like that. I like that he's got a mission that he's got to, he's given him a mission that he's got to go on and all this. And I, I think there's a different. It was supposed to feel kind of awkward. It's like they knew each other at the academy, but they haven't seen each other in years. And then Mason walks in. He's like, Joseph, what do you do? Oh, wow, you're I knew you'd be a flag officer someday, and blah blah blah. And he's like, well, yeah, I, made it my mission to always be the best. And anyway, you low-ranking fuck, here, go on this dangerous mission.
So what I would ask is that speaking to you on Facebook personally, in our little chat group we got going on, that yourself and Josh were saying that this is a year in the making. Why was this particular fan film so long to make?
Well, we went down to Kingsland, Georgia a little over a year ago. And this is one of the things we were doing. We did this, and we were working on another project. We were filming scenes from our scenes for Crisis, our next film that's going to come out.
So that is the next one. You're the little tag at the end that says, the blah 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 will return. Okay, go ahead.
Well, what it said was Mason and Archer and Allenby will return. We'll come back to all of their stories in the Once and Future Captain, which is going to be the big finale. It's going to be our final film for now. But there's one in between, which is Crisis. So, and I'm not Mason. Avalon Universe, Derek Mason, as you know him, will not be in that film, but there will be a couple of alternate universe versions that are way over the top and way, just really out there. Crisis is going to be a crazy, goofy, over the top, ridiculous, stupid fun. Kind of, Rick and Morty style, just the most random crap. Like, where did that come from? But anyway, we went down Kingsland, Georgia. About a little over a year and a half ago. I believe it was February. It was February. Very late February of. It was either the last weekend of February or the first weekend of March. Anyway, of 2022, and we shot a good part of this. Everything that you see Jones and Rook in, we shot there on that shoot. Jones and Rook, played by Leslie Sawyer and Jason Spriggs. And meanwhile, simultaneously, we were also shooting stuff for Crisis, none of which we ended up being able to use because two of the actors had to be replaced because there were
reasons.
There were people who caused chaos. A lot of problems. Would it be an Avalon production if you didn't have to replace some of your actors? I'm afraid.
And I can say stating fact. It's not a matter of opinion. I am stating a fact. These two people were banned from the studio, not by us, but by the studio itself, by the people who run Nutrizone Studios. They banned these two people from ever coming back. So
wow.
Sorry, Todd, I got a question for you. Sorry, that guy just Jay from is that you pronounce his name? I'm intrigued. What would an over-the-top version of Mason be like? Over-the-top version.
We'll see.
Wait and see.
Yeah.
You have to tune in and see.
You'll see my face, but it'll be different, really wacky, off-the-wall characters. That's all. That's all I can give you.
Fair enough. So as you were saying.
So, but anyway, that's to answer your question. That's why. But none of the people who, like I said, we had some people who caused problems. They weren't actually in this film, but and just we had some setbacks and other scheduling difficulties, with, because you got, Victoria Archer. She's, when we first started this, she was like, she was a 20-year-old kid, and, now she's like 20, mid 20s, got a kid, got a family, she's married, she's running a dance studio. So, getting her scheduled was, it took some doing, because she's a busy person. She's got,
Yeah, I was thinking that how she's matured into the roles recently, because seeing some of your earlier fan films, when she was just a fresh-faced young girl, and now she's like a very established young woman, doing all of this. She's definitely come a long way, and
Yes.
she's definitely part of the furniture and the cornerstone in what you guys are doing. I'm really glad to see there are still some people who haven't given you too much trouble and have remained part of the cast, like her.
Yeah, she's come along. She has come a long way, just like you said. She's, it's been really cool, and it makes me really proud just to watch her, see how much she's grown, as an actor over the past. We've been doing this almost 5 years now. So in September it'll be 5 years that we've been.
Really?
Wow! Congratulations.
That's when we
wait for the Josh ship.
Ghost Ship in September of 18. Yeah. So 5 years it's been. So. Oh, and to correct you, you said earlier about the CG, all the effects and stuff. Well, actually, we had two guys this time. Yeah, we had, of course, Sam Cockings as always, and then another guy did a good chunk of it. A guy by the name of Keith Hamilton. So
did most of your production budget go into paying for Samuel Cockings to do the special effects?
You have to ask Josh about that. I don't speak on that stuff. I don't handle the finances of Avalon Universe, so
Fair enough.
So, quick question: Did you have to go about being bearded Mason a lot differently than clean cut Mason, or?
No, I mean it's the same character. He's the same guy. He just just like Riker. I mean, Riker in the first season was clean shaven, and now he's just got a beard. But he's the same guy.
No, Riker was different in season 2, so now we're getting a different Mason now.
I didn't think of it that way. I just thought, I felt like, hey, the guy's been through some shit,
Yeah.
Give him a beard, because Josh wouldn't let me do it. I had grown out a beard because my wife at the time, who was still living in England, was getting ready to move here, and I couldn't have any kind of facial hair when I was with her because she's like, oh, it irritates my skin, Tyler, whatever. So,
Lovely.
Mason grew a beard.
Derek,
the beard.
you're spiky, Derek. Anyway, so no, and I had grown it out. I'd grown out a beard right before we filmed Avalon Lost, and I asked Josh if I could, hey, can I keep the beard? And he was like, well, no, because Chuck has a beard, and I don't want two guys with dark brown beards in the same scene together. It's like, so I was like, all right, fine, I'll shave. So I finally got to, if Mason finally gets to be bearded. So
I did.
Yeah,
I've always said a bearded Mason would be a dangerous thing to the women of the universe.
He's constantly having to change his facial hair when he's being Mason or he's being Marty McFly. He's always having to change his appearance.
Yeah, my girlfriend and I have been going to a lot of gaming conventions lately because we've gotten way into like board games and tabletop RPGs and stuff, and we've gone to three gaming conventions this month. 3 out of the 4 weekends.
I think Mage now has a couple more questions now.
And 2 of those, I was Marty McFly. So like a month ago, I had full, like you see me in that last scene. That's what my face looked like. And then we went to a convention, and I did Marty McFly, so I shaved. And then I was like, let it go for 2 more weeks. We went to another convention. I was like, well, I feel like doing Marty again. She's like, yeah, you should shave. I was like, oh, okay. So this is 2 weeks growth right here. But again, it's got to grow out at least a couple more, with 3-4 weeks before I can dye it and make it that nice, full looking
dark brown color. So.
These
Sorry, you said
things
we
take
had
work.
questions from the chat.
Yeah, let's have a quick look at some of the stuff we've
oh man.
gotten. If here we go. Here's a good one. If Mirror Mason is the opposite of Mason, the universe is in serious trouble. Well,
listen,
no doubt.
if Mirror Menard and Mirror Mason got together, I'd call them Eminem, and the whole universe would implode on itself. So,
yeah, for sure. And
one universe couldn't take that much evil.
That's
just
the plot.
This is the gentleman who created the music, and we need to give him some credit. Adam Mullen, thanks so much for your comments on the music. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sometimes I always want to talk about everything I can think of when it comes to a particular production. Something might slip through the cracks. I'm glad, Maze, that you brought up the music, because once again, the music is top notch and it adds to the experience. A good score is fundamentally important. It is one of the cogs in the wheel, so to speak, to give you that experience. And the music was phenomenal.
It was. The score constantly fit the tone and feel of the shots and of the scenes.
It always does. It always does. Yeah,
like,
amazing.
So does Adam get like sent a script and then starts recording, or does he wait until he has footage to watch and then score off of?
He gets sent a rough cut, I believe.
Rough cut. Nice.
Again, that's a question that Josh could better answer than me, but to my understanding, because the way, I mean, if you watch it, the way it's his music is not cut. We don't cut and paste and edit like Adam's music. He watches it and times it to the film. So he's given, I believe Josh sends him a rough cut, and so Adam, times the music precisely to the film itself.
It's seamless and beautiful, and
it's
like
oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm saying nice seeing behind the scene pictures in the credit. Yeah, once again, we're not dealing with a couple of guys with iPhone cameras here. There is a lot of people that goes into making this production. And there's standards involved. I mean, like fan films now have gone beyond just mobile phone cameras. They're another level now. They're mini studio productions. It's quite remarkable what you guys are creating, and the people involved to help you create it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
we have a lot of. I mean, you'd have to be on set with us to see all, how many amazing, skilled and dedicated people are working so hard doing what they do to make every aspect of this just, the best we can make it.
And I mean, here's the thing is that it shows that because all the products that come out are so damn good. Like that. I mean, that's just the bottom line, is that I think people realize, wow, what something that Josh and I'm sure others had started, and then it's kind of grown and people have seen that, and they see like every film, it seems like there is progression between your character and your acting, and then Josh's writing and direct. I mean, there were actually a couple shots in this one that I'm like, that was a really good shot. One of the shots in the hallway when they were being damaged, I don't think I'd ever seen that sort of filming from you guys before, but it's kind of like one of those almost quick cut, but like not a quick cut shaky cam, but almost, you know what I mean? But it's something I hadn't, because a lot of time in fan films, you get just almost a stationary setting, like you have your camera set up on a tripod. And so, and I'm not just talking about Avalon Universe, I'm talking about in general, just, some of the fan film. So, it's kind of nice to see that that some of this film, these new filming scenes are happening, and it just kind of stuck. For some reason, it just stuck out to me, and I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen them do some kind of like quick cut, shaky type, but it seemed seamless with the scene. Sometimes those type of scenes can be very jarring, like very out of place, but it was seamless. It felt like.
Yeah, I wasn't there for those. Those are pickup shots when it cuts to people in the hallway getting thrown up against the wall, or
I love that shit.
And when you see Tori Archer in engineering, when we shot her, it was just her. So when you see all the other people in engineering milling about behind her and doing things and all that, that was like added in. That's like another layer.
And I didn't even realize that. So that's the best credit to that scene that you can have is.
Could tell not tell that was composited at all.
Yeah.
I just want to quickly run through some of the comments here. Legendary Universe says, I happen to like your beard. Just saying, yes, don't we all? We're men who appreciate good facial hair and good facials in general. What sort of M&M? Regular peanut butter or ultimate power duo almond?
No, it would be pizza rolls, pizza roll filled M&Ms. Because Mason, because Daniel Vance is involved, or not Daniel Vance. I'm sorry, Vance Mason is involved.
Pizza Roll Diaries,
yeah.
Some of the behind the scenes images I recognize taking at the Neutral Zone Studios back in February, which was cool seeing. Yeah, and by the way, I am planning on coming to America in a couple of years to do a road trip, but I'll keep you guys more informed as I get a little bit.
He can actually afford that because he doesn't have to pay for healthcare. So
I do. I have to. We have taxes here which do it, but don't get me wrong. That's another debate which I'm hoping to talk about tomorrow.
But he won't be able to afford to get hurt when he's here. He can't get hurt.
Yeah. I'm going to be getting several insurance plans, just in case I stub my toe. I was in a few of the. I was in a few of the credit photos. Oh, awesome, Terry. But laugh out loud, not in this episode though. It's a shame.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was just when the premiere ended, I hadn't seen the credit sequence, the end credit sequence yet, and I was watching, and there was the 4 pictures and the side by side, and then there was the wide shot was the second shot, and I was like, that's not even from this film. And then Josh from the other room goes, it's not.
Miss Duster said that Terry was in there, so it was great seeing that. I'm sorry, Terry, I don't know who you were amongst them, but I'm sure I did see you regardless. Daniel Vance says, and by the way, Daniel Vance is the man. By the way, Sawyer and Spriggs felt natural together in their shots. They played off each other very well. Yeah, I agree. It's always good to have chemistry with your actors. To work off each other, and considering you guys are not, some of you guys are just regular people taking on, these, complicated roles. You guys, gave it your best shots. I know for some of you guys, it's getting easier and easier the more you play it because it's just an extension of yourself. But it's always good to see. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I love that Josh, and I kind of encouraged in that way too. But he's always known that Leslie and Jason are capable of so much more than we had them do in the first film. They're both wonderful actors, and Josh gave their characters, gave them actual characters rather than in the first film, Ghost Ship. They were they both played zombies. And then they both played bridge officers at the very, very, very end, but neither one of them had dialogue. Jason actually said when Mason walks onto the bridge for the first time, Spriggs actually said it kind of improv. He looked at me and nods, and he's like, "Captain," or "Morning, Captain," or something like that. And I patted him on the shoulder, and I was like, "Morning," and then I sit down. But other than that, neither one of them had dialogue. Their characters didn't even have names. But I love seeing that they have characters who have names and have dialogue, and they have a part to play. And I feel like we got to utilize them more for what they can do and make them real characters.
Are they going to be the Miles O'Brien of the Avalon universe, going from a very small role in episode 1 of the Avalon universe, or we call it AU? And then going into being like a full-time member of a spin-off show, huh? Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Ooh.
You know what? Our final film kind of no spoilers. Leaves that possibility.
I do have to say,
that's all I'll say.
Oh, sorry.
That's all I can say, but go ahead.
I just
Admiral Austin. Oh, sorry, go on.
all I was gonna say was that although Mason, Tyler, you always knock Mason, like the character, out of the park. Like every time I've seen it, you always do really good, and your acting has gotten better. You've obviously grown as an actor. But I do have to bring up Josh for a second, because I do feel like from seeing him before to seeing him now, he is much more of a natural. His performances in some of the early stuff that I had seen was a little bit rougher, And I mean, not saying that it was terrible, but it was obviously, But he has obviously grown as an actor, because he is definitely more comfortable in that skin of Admiral Austin or whichever character he's playing.
Yeah.
So I wish. I mean, I don't know when he's coming in here, but I do want to bring that up. Is that since we're talking about the acting, he did feel more natural in that role this time around.
He's the Alfred Hitchcock of fan films. By the way, he's the Alfred Hitchcock of fan films, because he'll mainly be behind the camera, but now and again, like Hitchcock himself, you'll see a cameo of him in his movies, and it's always nice to see Josh perform in front of the camera in any capacity. Hopefully, one day we'll get a full-length film of him. That'll be pretty cool. With him maybe being the lead character for that particular fan film, that'll be nice if he can pull that off.
Well, of course he could pull it off. I mean, he can, but I don't think he wants to.
Fair enough.
He wouldn't do that, because he would be too focused on. He wouldn't want to. He'd want to be more focused on making a movie than acting in one. So
it's a lot of work, I guess, being in front and behind the camera. Yeah. So for sure. Some more questions. Some more stuff here. So Daniel Vaughn says Admiral Austin the White showed up just at the right time, as a wizard should. Yeah, very very much so.
But to answer your question real quick, you said you don't know when Josh is coming on. He'll come on whenever you guys get tired of talking to me. So
okay.
When you have questions for me, I'll swap out. Josh will come in and talk to you guys. So
Legendary Universe says yes, keep the Avalon Universe going. Well, listen, Legendary Universe, keep the NerdTube Universe going, because all you guys in this chat, please subscribe to us. We're a small channel trying to do our best here, giving you lots of content, and we're not going to be just reviewing this fan film. We'll be reviewing Star Trek stuff in general, whether it be fan film reactions or stuff that's coming out of Paramount. So don't forget to subscribe to us, please. That'll be very much appreciated. Everyone who's new to us right now. Daniel Vance also says all Austin needs is silence and a raised eyebrow to convey what he wants to say. Yeah. Well, I'm still wanting him to be Lex Luthor in a Batman fan film that Vance is planning to possibly do in the future. Vance Major, that is, but he wants to do a Batman fan film. I've always told Josh to play Lex Luthor. I made that joke about him being Lex Luthor a while back. Now I'm determined to see that one day. I think he'll be an excellent villain, personally. Josh is like Quentin Tarantino.
I saw that comment, and all I could think was, oh, so he wants just an excuse to come on screen and say the word Carney for the Cardassians. Okay.
Oh, because he likes feet.
Daniel Vance is what got like all the zingers tonight. It's just on it.
What about written fan fiction? Josh is the man for that. I mean, the guy is, I'm trying to think of somebody right now who's just known for writing lots of good stuff. Taylor Sheridan right now, who's written so much stuff for Paramount. He's amazing. Josh is probably as close to that. Thank you, Strum. He's saying kind words. Yeah. Well, Commodore Boone. By the way, Boone, we watched your fan film the other day. It was memorable. Loved that Admiral uniform Josh wore. Yeah, it was fantastic. The thing about wearing white all the time is just not getting it dirty. So every time I see Nurse Chapel wearing her white uniform, I'm thinking to myself, why is it not covered in bloodstains? With D Goat, I think of Ming the Merciless. You know what? I think Josh could do a good Ming the Merciless, to tell you the truth. Josh is who's backstage. I think that what Christine is asking is, would you review written fanfic?
Oh, you guys.
Like a novel.
I mean,
like a book.
I don't know how to read, so I mean,
I would.
Maybe not these two. Maybe me. I've done the odd book review or two here on the channel.
Yes,
I would.
Dude, Mage is the bomb, is what he is. He is the Golden Glasses Award-winning host of 2022.
Making me blush, Cheeto. God. You know I'm shy.
I mean, Tyler, do you have any questions for us or anything like that? I mean,
anything you just want to put out there into the ether?
Would be a good
Anybody you
session.
want to thank or plug or
Flashboard
bring
is
up?
right here, by the way. Mason, sorry, Tyler. I can't stop calling you Mason. Tyler would be a good Flash Gordon. I can already see it. Oh my God, Tyler versus Josh, Ming versus Flash. I can already vision it right now. To tell you the truth,
Zam, you should write it. You should write it, and then Josh can direct it. There you go.
If I write it, it'll be the expletives will be too much for these guys to handle, and
I'm sure
they'll
they
be
can handle the
cutting it up so much they'll end up being 1 minute long.
So yeah, I was gonna say,
yeah,
if I could, like some of these comments that are like for or about Josh or whatever, like save those for when he gets in here. Just my suggestion. But you asked if I had anything to add. You said that oh, Tyler, you knock Mason out of the park every time. Thank you. Derek Mason is obviously Josh's creation, but it has become his and mine. I mean, I bring, because I take Josh's original vision of the character, which is he told me what he intended for this. This is what the guy's like, and I take that and what he's been through, and just the essence of who he's supposed to be, and add to it. Josh always gives me the freedom to improv. I never have to ask his permission anymore. It's like, whatever if I think of something that, oh, Mason would say this, that's not in the script, he's like, yeah, do that. And I always do. And he always loves it. And he always puts it in the film. And so I'm trying to think of what moments that, or dialogue that I improv'd in this, when she says, when it cuts to engineering and Archer and Mason are talking, and she says, you're making this shit up. And then Mason was scripted to say, I am not. And then blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, wow, I'm, flattered you think I'm that creative, creative enough to make up this shit, like,
well, it's crazy enough. I mean, yeah. I've seen people do like crossovers of Wizard of Oz and Star Trek. Anything's possible. I've always envisioned a cross between Kirk and Jack O'Neill. O'Neill. Sorry, remind me who the hell Jack O'Neill is.
I'm not
from Stargate SG-1. Richard Dean Anderson's character.
Oh yes, yeah. Which was Kurt Russell's character. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Which is my favorite version of the character, because I'm a huge fan of Stargate the movie, the original film. Not so much SG-1, and that's why I had trouble watching the show, because I'm like, you got Richard Dean Anderson playing the same character that Kurt Russell. Give me a fucking break. I can't do this. But
what I want. I'm envisioning not like not necessarily a crossover, but like a homage of Star Trek, but done in the style of Smokey and the Bandit. Yeah, like what it is. You got Kirk stealing, and then some of the boys stealing the Enterprise, like in Star Trek 3, and they're the Bandit, and then you got the Smokey, who's this guy, one of the admirals or whatever of Starfleet, chasing him and stuff like that, and they have all these mishaps and hijinks and adventures. Yeah, I mean that's what I want.
That's called Star Trek Prodigy.
It's funny you say that.
Man, it's like Shaw's ancestors, the one chasing them.
Well, you said that earlier this afternoon in our little group chat, and
yeah.
I was at work, so I couldn't respond. But I was going to say I could actually make that happen, because it's funny you say that. I'm really good friends with I'm really good friends with a lot of some of the best celebrity impersonators in the world, and I'm really good friends with a guy who's a Burt Reynolds impersonator, and he does the Bandit. Yeah, he does the Smoking.
Does he do that Burt Reynolds laugh? Oh my God.
Yes. Yeah, he does all of that. The guy I will send you as soon as I walk out and Josh comes in, I will send you a picture of. It'll take some scrolling, but I'll send you a picture of this guy, and maybe you can put it up here. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, please do. I'll if you can. And you got somebody you could play Jackie Gleason's character of the Smokey. That'll be pretty cool too.
So I haven't seen y'all's reaction yet, but I gotta ask. There was a moment that was clearly, it was supposed to be an outtake. I thought Josh was gonna go with another take, because it was just such a blatant flub fuck up that that it was like, okay, well, we're not going to use that take. Okay, let's do another one. And Josh used the flub. It you just saw it. You just watched it. Can you guys pinpoint what scene that was or what shot that was?
I actually did not catch any of that. I'd have to go back and watch it again.
Everything felt
I'll
clean
have to watch it again.
Really?
I mean,
I did not catch any.
There was something that happened by accident. It was, call it a prop.
Oh, when you knocked over the thing on the desk and you just picked it up and handled it, that moment was awesome. I was like, wait, is he improvising that? Like, he's just rolling with it. He stayed in character. That was awesome. Like, it would be so easy to just crack up right there.
The guy playing the Klingon, he's, Mason is asking him all these questions and he's answering, and he's getting more and more frustrated. And he's like, okay, I'll answer this other question. It's because of this and this and this and this. And then Mason's like, but why attack Starfleet? And he goes, enough question. And he slammed it when he says enough questions. And he actually slammed his fist on the table. And it was on the close up of me. He did that every time because that was part of his performance. So he did that. And when it was on my close up, the little comm panel, the little intercom box, it's not glued to the table or anything. It's just a little piece of wood that's sitting there. And I think there was something metal on the table. So when it fell over and you heard a clink, and
honestly, that you played that,
and I just reached over and just picked it up, and I was like,
yeah, well, but you played that so natural that like it was kind of one of those moments where it's like it was a moment of like I want to say kind of levity where it's like it fell over, but you kept yourself calm and composed and you just fixed it, and you're just okay.
I kept going with the scene, but I just thought. I thought it would make what was happening in my mind right at that moment was, this will be a funny outtake if I don't actually react to it. If I don't go, and then cut, if I go ahead and play just flip it up and keep playing the scene, that would make for an even funnier outtake. Then
I think it works better in the. I think it works better in the film.
You're a Starfleet officer. Something falls on the floor, you're going to pick it up. That's what a Starfleet officer would do. Without
was an Ed Mercer moment, Josh.
Yes, that was an Ed Mercer moment. But I do have to say with the editing, with that moment. Now that you bring that moment up, I kind of wish there was a sound effect there instead of just him just hitting the table. It would have made it seem a little bit more impactful. I remember thinking that when it happened, like maybe adding a little bit of a sound effect there of a slam.
I thought it was enough of a, because like I said, when the thing falls over, you hear like a metal clink.
I think Cheeto means for like the thud on the desk.
Yeah, the thud on the desk. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Go ahead, Mage. You were gonna ask something.
And then it flew right out.
Oh no.
I was going to say that I feel like it adds like a dynamic between the two brothers. Like Mason is so used to his Klingon half brother losing his temper. He just picks this thing up and keeps rolling with it. And like, yeah, that's just my brother. This is how he is.
Yeah. Instead of getting butthurt when he's like, enough questions, you must act now. And it's like, fine, tow us back to Starbase.
I was thinking a little bit of Hulk Hogan, actually. That's what I made when we were doing the reaction. He goes to me, hello, brother. And I'm thinking to myself, let me tell you something, Captain Mason. I thought he was going to say something like that afterwards, but that wasn't the case. But I was getting those sort of vibes from him. But yeah, it was pretty cool. I like, and I have to say, like some of the flashback scenes. You had this one guy who had like that old school TOS look of a Klingon, but had some ridges on his head. Absolutely, it looked fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes. So some of the makeup shows were
I say when Josh comes in, I did want to. I wanted to bring up some of the makeup work and stuff like that.
I
already know. I'll let Josh tell you about it. But that is Sean Patrick Kennedy, an amazing actor. He's you're gonna see him again. That was just a little glimpse of this character. So he's.
I will not be happy or satisfied until I see a Ferengi wearing a mask. That's all I want to see.
So did you guys watch
Commodore Boone style?
Did you guys watch Air and Darkness?
I think so.
I know you watched Demons and hated it, and then you watched Ghost Ship. I don't know if you watched Air and Darkness. I think
we did. Which one was that? That was
it was the one after Demons that I also wasn't in before Cosmic Stream. So that character, the character that you saw, Kamak, when they were talking about Kamak, and it shows the guy in the classic TOS, makeup and wardrobe. That was the same character that was in Air and Darkness, but they kind of retconned it because in TOS in Air and Darkness, that character looked very had the like movie and TNG like the guy, like the brother looked, that generic, the gray, armor and shit and long hair, your movie era and TNG Klingon look. And we, I guess, retconned it and Sean did that himself. He showed up with that makeup and the prosthetic, the guy to do the prosthetics and the makeup and that wardrobe, and Sean just brought that TOS Klingon aesthetic to it, and it was like, this is fucking great. Wow, yes.
I want to know where he got that costume, because it's impossible to find TOS era Klingon costumes. I know I've tried.
Yeah.
I've got a roll I need it for.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he made that all himself, or had it made.
It's, but it's spot on. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Sean wasn't in. Sean is playing a character that was previously played by another actor that we didn't bring back for this one. But,
playing a dude. Oh.
Yeah, but like I said, you're gonna see that character in the Once and Future Captain. It's gonna be amazing. So
I someone initial sound.
Yeah, that guy is great. We were so lucky to get Sean, and like I said, he didn't actually act in this film, and I didn't know we were going to use the footage of him in this film. So I'm glad that that we did that we get to see that character and that actor. Sean is amazing, and you guys are going to be blown away by his performance in Once and Future Captain.
JFM, I don't know if I'm saying which brother puts the other in a headlock and grinds his knuckles into the top of his head, though. So do you or your half brother?
It's got to be the Klingon, isn't it?
I'm gonna say, since he's Mason's the younger brother, so I'm gonna say it used to be, the Klingon brother would give give Mason a noogie. But Mason eventually learned to fight like a Klingon, so it doesn't really mess with him anymore.
Right,
okay, well, I think we're going to get into Josh now, and whilst
I was just about
you bring him in here, we're just going to quickly read some comments. But Tyler, it's always a pleasure, mate.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, final comment. I heard you saying at right before I came on that you were. You didn't say you were disappointed, but weren't quite satisfied that it was, it was left open-ended. It is a little bit of a cliffhanger. It's, there will be more. It's like I said, we've got the other two films. They're all in the can. The next one is still in the editing process, and then
I'm glad you mentioned that very quickly, because some of your previous stuff recently, is being self-contained stories that can branch out onto further things by introducing new characters or whatever, but it's still like whatever the story was at the time kind of felt resolved by the end of the episode. And so this wasn't at this particular time, which, all right, fair enough, means I have to wait another year now until, but it is what it is. Sometimes these stories are more longer than we would like them to be, and so they can't be resolved in one sitting, I guess, or in one filming session. So I appreciate that. It's understandable.
Yeah, this was to kind of wrap up, where, or to tie in where Mason and Archer last left off, and then bring it to just to put the story together, to lead into our big film, which is going to be the final one, the Once and Future Captain. So this film was, very much for the purpose of connecting everything, putting it all together.
As I said, it was kind of the perfect filler episode. Like it wasn't like filler as in like a waste of time or anything. Like it was a connective tissue episode that kind of that's what the connective tissue is a good word for it, that I've been kind of that word that I've been kind of missing for, because even Strange New Worlds this week, you know, although these two episodes are much different in tone, this week's episode of Strange New Worlds did feel like a connective tissue to certain characters, and you know, kind of like so I do feel that that's what this episode was for Avalon as well.
Yes, very much so. And while it's necessary to do that, you know, this film was necessary to connect everything. But we also try to give you, you know, a little bit of action and suspense, and a little bit of humor, and a little bit of, you know, everything that you enjoy about Avalon Universe at the same time, and not just, you know, story-wise. Yes, it was necessary to let's put it together, and hey, we're going to entertain you while we're doing it.
No, it was great stuff. Thank you so much for joining us.
Just before you go, Tyler, just Daniel Vance says noogies help grow your ridges, so you'll probably get some ridges eventually. Daniel Vance says, so that explains the Cleon's appearance. Cheers, Tyler, for showing up and sharing your time with us, Mason Hart. And
Absolutely.
JFM says Daniel. Okay, never mind. I got that one already. Sorry. So, all right. Thank you so much.
Thanks for everyone in the chat. If you've, hey, like and subscribe to these guys. NerdTube is awesome. We love them. If you did watch this reaction video, awesome. Thanks for being here for these guys' premiere. Now, please go watch the film in its entirety. You know, in its raw format, without these assholes talking over it.
Go properly enjoy the film. Go show some support for these guys, because they put in so much hard work, and it really shows in the final product. So definitely,
we're just critics.
Anybody can spout out their ass. It takes the real talent to create.
And we will, we'll do the same. We'll, you know, spread the word. We'll, you know, post links for this video.
Well, and there is also a link in the description, or in the description of this video for the original video. And if it's not down there, it's because I just updated it. So because I forgot to update it. But it is now updated. So if you refresh your screen, there will be a link right to Knights of the Void.
Okay, awesome. And I'll ask Josh about, or you guys can, about putting I don't know if he's already put a link to this video, or if he could, I don't know. But I'll see about getting a link to this video in our description as well. So
we truly appreciate it.
Again, thanks guys. It's been a pleasure as always.
Always love having you here,
man.
Right. Captain Mason for life. Top 3 captains.
And I'll get that Smokey and the Bandit, the Burt Reynolds guy picture for it. And I'll send it to you so you can take a look at it.
We'll do the same. Cheers, man. I look forward to it. So, Jason actually mentioned a good comment here. I wonder who will play Snake Plissken. Yeah, we had General Kang, didn't we? So in Star Trek 6, so that was pretty good.
Actually, we have a comment on Twitch that Beachhead Joe says, we watching new Star Wars? No, we were watching new Star Trek. Star Trek fan film.
Star Wars.
Actually, I'll jump over on Twitch and put a link in the description to the film. So if
definitely
crooked.
Actually, I can do it on here.
I look fine, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got Joshua Irwin here to answer some questions and talk about the film now. Thank you for joining us this evening, sir, and thank you for putting out such, just a great film. It was really a pleasure to watch this evening.
Well, I'm really glad that you liked it, and I greatly appreciate you guys having us on. It means a lot.
Well, it's always a pleasure having you here. While I was, thinking, prepping, kind of coming up with what sort of questions I would ask this evening, one thought kept coming to my mind, and it was like, Mage, how would you put your finger on what makes Avalon Universe films different from other fan productions out there? And so I'm going to pose that question to you directly, Josh.
What do I think makes it different?
What about your approach, like your mindset for making a fan film, makes it different? And I think I saw a little bit of that reflected in one of your comments in the chat earlier when you said not be constrained by continuity, but focus on making a good film.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was sort of a core philosophy when we started. Is that we're not going to go, okay, we've got to be completely constrained by Star Trek continuity. So that's why we did establish it as its own universe. And the creative motivation of Avalon is that it's somehow influenced by all forms of Star Trek. So even though it primarily takes place in the 23rd century, there is some influence from every iteration of Star Trek in it. So, you see the Beyond uniforms with the badges on it, gives it kind of a TNG look, even though it's 23rd century. Or you might see holograms like in modern Star Trek, holographic displays, or there's sound effects from across the gamut. So it's like really what we're trying to do, from a creative motivation standpoint, is to have it be influenced by every form of Star Trek in one thing.
And it shows through in the final product, and I think that you've made a wise decision not pigeonholing yourself.
Well,
it gives you a lot of more room to work.
Yeah. What I noticed when we started this was that there are a lot of people who work really, really hard to make it as close to classic Star Trek as they possibly can. Like if you look at a Star Trek Continues or the Federation Files, or there are a lot of people that just try really hard to recreate Star Trek, and that's great. And so many of them do it well. It was like, well, let's do something else instead of trying to do the same thing other people were doing, because they were doing that. And but I have gotten a lot in the past 2 years into also creating very classical, pure TOS style Star Trek. We did the Lost Starship, which is going to be the next film that we release. It's not really an Avalon Universe film. It's a separate thing, but it's a TOS continuity film. We did this Tales from the Neutral Zone.
Sorry, when they're done talking to you, I'm talking to Neil too.
Okay. We did this Tales from the Neutral Zone film called The Test of Time. That was classic TOS era. And then, I've done some work on the Federation Files. So I've gotten into creating TOS. And then, of course, you'll see that in Crisis on Infinite Excaliburs, that the Prime Universe is represented. So when you're on that ship, there's a very TOS feel to it. So, yeah, there's room for homaging Star Trek, but also trying to find something new that's your own.
Well,
future.
I think just to maybe kind of answer your question here, which makes you guys so unique, is you are the Avalon universe. Mm-hmm. So in a way, if you want to take bits of TOS, TNG, or any other era, and merge it together, and just as long as it feels like Star Trek and looks like Star Trek, I think that's all that really matters.
Exactly.
When you got TNG uniforms on a TOS ship, all that matters is, does this look and feel like Star Trek? And that's the best thing. And making it an Avalon universe and not a connective universe, I think, also benefits you as well, in my opinion.
And the neat thing about Crisis, when we see that, is that the Prime Universe, the Mirror Universe, these iterations that we have seen before will influence Avalon, will influence the characters when they meet them. It will have an impact on the characters.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Well, I'm ankle deep or knee deep in editing that. I'm a good 30% of the way through the post on Crisis. In fact, I finished Nights like 3 weeks ago. So I've just been sitting on it, and I transitioned into editing Crisis like almost a month ago. So we're pretty deep into that exercise already.
So is Crisis? Crisis is the one that's I think coming out in October, correct?
Mm-hmm. Halloween.
Yeah. You always have one in Halloween and one on your birthday. Which, by the way, happy birthday!
Oh, thank you.
We said happy birthday earlier, but you weren't here, so you're here yet. But yeah. So
yeah, happy birthday.
Well, thank you guys. That's wonderful.
Well, how old? I have to ask, how old are you now, Josh?
29.
43.
What?
43, yeah? Well, I would have thought you were like 38.
Yeah, I thought you were like
38 when we started this.
He is on the 14th anniversary of his 29th birthday.
I was
There we
gonna
go.
write happy fucking birthday, dickhead, on his cake, but they wouldn't do it because Walmart has a policy against profanity on cakes.
He tried.
Damn corporate policies.
Yeah, damn. Do you guys have giant eagles where you're at?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's a big supermarket up our way here, and yeah, they make cakes and stuff like that there too, in their bakery department, and yeah, we've tried to get them to write some crazy stuff on there. The worst we could do is deuces, as in like buy for a goodbye cake for somebody.
You can get away with a lot if you go to like the Great American Cookie Company and make a cookie cake. They'll write some weird stuff on that.
Guys, these are the burning questions that you all have.
They'll put their
Well, look, I have to
we
ask.
should get a sponsorship from Great American Cookie.
I have to ask the same question that I asked Tyler. I'm going to ask to you, because Tyler was able to answer this question. Hopefully, you can. Was most of your budget used to pay for Samuel Cocking's special effects?
No comment.
That was a very labored no comment. So
yeah,
not something I want to talk about.
We love busting Sam Cocking's balls here. I mean, we love busting his cock and balls. We really do.
Yeah,
Cockings and balls.
The thing about Sam is that when he and I get to talking, you know, he's like my brother from another mother. When we get on the phone and we start talking about stuff, you know, he loves Star Trek just like the rest of us do. And anytime I get on the phone with him, it's hard to get off in under 3 hours because we just talk about Star Trek for way too long.
He likes Star Trek like he likes money.
And in that 3 hours, did he ask you for money?
Well, you know, he.
Okay, we gotta stop.
Sorry, I can't help myself.
Okay, what Sam would say if he were here. Okay, Sam puts his money into fan films. So like if he does a crowdfunder or whatever, Trek Yards, whatever, that money goes into fan films. The fan films that he makes, he pays that budget forward into his production. So. You know, I told him, I said, I don't care what you do with your money. Go to an Asian massage parlor if you want. But,
hey,
you know, he puts it into fan films. So, you know, good for him. He's a Star Trek fan. He loves it like the rest of us. So
I know we just like to bust him.
Well, yeah,
we like to bust his balls.
People do that to me, too. I've got my trolls. Believe me, I got people make shit up about me all the time.
And as much as I do rip on Sam, I've always stated that he is tremendously good at what he does do, which is create superb special effects.
Oh yeah,
and here's
and I say that begrudgingly, but nevertheless, he's very good at it.
Here's the compliment I'm going to give Sam in all of this, especially for this film, is that Sam only did something like 30% of those shots. We had a new guy named Keith Hamilton, who's extremely talented, who sought us out and said, hey, I want to help. I want to be part of a Star Trek fan film. And Sam was very cool about, you know, handing over some of the workload to Keith and just being cool about it and being there for him. And I think that showed a lot of maturity on his part, honestly.
We do have a question in the chat right now. So what takes the longest in making a film? In your case, Josh, writing, editing, visual effects, scheduling, or scheduling the actors?
Well, all of those are very challenging things, but the post-production process is definitely the thing that takes the longest, because you're taking a lot of very raw material and you're creating something from that. Until you go through that process, all that footage is nothing. It's ones and zeros on a hard drive. It doesn't mean anything. And so that post-production process definitely is the longest part of it. And I do a good portion of the vis effects like myself too. You know, like what you see there, like when you talk about Sam or Keith, that's spaceships. You know, if you're looking at spaceships in space, that's Sam, that's Keith. But if you're looking at sparks, phaser beams, smoke, or like, for example, the L cars, the displays on the screens. That's all me. So, and the thing about the engineering scenes, all of the engineering scenes were just green screen. You know, we had Victoria Archer for one day, and in that one day, she shot green screen material for 3 films. And
Wow.
well, we had her for 3 days total, but we only had her on the green screen for one day. So she shot green screen materials for 3 films. But when we first did this, she went with us to Kingsland so we could actually have her in engineering, whereas she's never gone back to Kingsland because, you know, she's got a child and a life and all this stuff now. So
unlike us nerds.
Yeah, what we had to do is
I mean, you got kids yourself, mate. I mean,
you
have to balance life, you know.
Yeah,
no, I know.
Yeah.
I was kidding, Sam.
And so we had to shoot her material on a green screen. So like, even the L cars like that are on screens, there weren't screens. Like I just made it look like there were screens back there, and then all of the people who were in the background were shot on different days, and they weren't all shot at the same time. Like some of the people walking around were shot on one day. One of the background actors is my 17-year-old son.
17-year-old son?
Yeah.
God damn it.
You know what? I shouldn't say anything. My son is 16. I can't say anything. So
I just went to him and I said, hey, put this shirt on. Like I gave him a tunic and had him put it on. And I said, you know, let's go in the garage. And I took him into the garage and I said, okay, just pretend like there's a computer screen in front of you and you're pushing buttons. I didn't even tell him what it was for. And he just did it. I just filmed him for like 5 minutes doing that. And
does he like Star Trek?
No, he's a Wars fan.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm both.
I'm a huge Wars fan. My youngest will be like, Star Trek is stupid. Star Wars is better.
Yeah, well, there's not as much of it, but fair enough. Comment here, by the way. Wait, you did a whole non-Avalon TOS film, Josh?
Yes. So it's on the channel, The Test of Time, which is a Tales from the Neutral Zone. And then, of course, we have Doomsday that we did in 2021 and released it in early 2022. And that's the story of the Doomsday Machine. Like before the Doomsday Machine, like what happened to the Constellation. That's on the Avalon channel.
I think we've seen that. I don't.
That's the one where you have Commodore Decker played by a country music singer. And he's like, I'm trying, Jenko. You've got to hang on. And there's just no way of getting around that accent. That guy had the countryest accent you'd ever heard in your life. And he was the star of the movie. There's nothing we can do about it. And then we're going to release another one. It's done. We could release it on Monday if we wanted to. We're not going to, but there's one called The Lost Starship, which is from a newcomer fan film writer, a guy named Brian Peterson, who reached out to me and asked if I would help him with this. And Neutral Zone Studios, he reached out to Neutral Zone Studios, to Vic Mignogna, to several people, and we made his film, The Lost Starship. And it's finished. We've completed it. But we're going to, we may sit on it a week. We may sit on it a month. We haven't really decided when we're going to release it, but it's basically ready to go now. So we're going to we had the Test of Time was released a month and a half ago. Knights of the Void today, The Lost Starship, Crisis in October, and then Boxing Day is the target release date for a film called, I might butcher this,
Boxing Day.
Le Mort de la Gare, which is, it's a French thing, play on Le Mort de Arthur, which is like the death of Arthur, which is of course, a Arthurian Avalon type thing. Mm-hmm. And so it's the death of the war, but it's a Prime Universe story that takes place completely in the Prime Universe with Avalon Universe characters on it. There's no crossover with Avalon. It's just those characters in the Prime Universe in a complete TOS style. And that's going to come out Boxing Day, which of course, day after Christmas. And then the Once and Future Captain will be next year.
That's funny because somebody just asked Sam, what is the day after Christmas, Sam?
It is Boxing Day. Yay, Ryan Jelly Deals. Yes.
Golden gloves, baby. Boxing Day.
Comment here. Oh no, my brain has gone off the rails. I'm imagining an Avalon and Firefly crossover. Well, I'm sure that would fucking make Admiral Jayway here beneath us.
Yeah.
Beneath you, Josh. Very happy.
All I want to see is some TOS people walking around in some TOS uniforms with brown coats on. Like, come on. Like, there's a universe out there that could have that.
Eject the Rudd and Warp Core.
You know, we didn't pack Firefly in, but we packed a lot of stuff into Crisis. We've got, holy moly, we've got the Orville. We've got a little Battlestar Galactica, but you really have to look for it. There's some Galaxy Quest.
I love Battlestar. Yeah.
And it's not, look, the film isn't just like this one big gimmick of every sci-fi thing you can fit in there. That is an element, but the whole film is not just that gimmick. The Crisis is about something. It is a character-driven story that is important to the ultimate development and fate of some of these characters. So it is about something.
How, I know it's not done yet. How long do you think Crisis, like how long of what's the runtime you think Crisis will be?
Well, I suspect that it's going to push 45 minutes.
Wow. I can't wait to see that one.
Magnum opus.
Yeah.
Hey.
And that's one of those things of, are we going to get away with it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I've seen other fan films post guidelines be 45 minutes.
That would be Mr. Our Mr. Stanley of fan films himself, Mr. Menard.
And he's in.
Oh yeah.
He's in Crisis. He's quite prominently in Crisis.
That's good because that means Paramount will stay away from you. If they see you've got the Menard shields up, and it's like, oh, they've got Menard. They're like, we don't want Mirror Menard coming after. Yeah, we don't want the Phantom.
They'll start homaging it in real Star Trek once they see him in there. We'll see, like, they'll just steal our plot somehow. Like, have you ever heard Vance's, like, conspiracy theory that CBS is just straight up stealing from him constantly? Like, he is convinced that they're going to no budget productions to come up with story ideas. And,
I do believe like people within the hierarchy industries do look at forums and stuff like that and pick up some ideas, because there's a game I play called Hearthstone, and people it's a card game, and people create their own gimmicky, like their own fictional cards. And then next thing you know, you see those cards being created in the game itself, a year or two later. And so I do sometimes think that maybe, hierarchies or creators sometimes take ideas from fans and then claim it as their own. Because at the end of the day, unfortunately for someone like Vance, he doesn't own Star Trek. So whatever ideas he throws out there, if other people take it, yeah. Exactly.
I've actually made some like funny memes about that. Where the management wants you to look at these two pictures. It's the same pic, and it's like a shot from his fan film and a shot of Strange New Worlds. And then Star Trek Picard, that famous scene where they find the Enterprise D in the space dock. That's and they get the Enterprise D to go fight the Borg in a Borg attack. A classic ship. Vance did that in a film where he took a Constitution class out of the Fleet Museum and used it in a Borg attack. And so I did the Back to the Future meme where it was like, hey, I've seen this one. How could you have seen it? It's brand new, and I put Vance's shot and the, Picard shot. And even there's two shots of the ship in space dock look almost the same.
Hey, I mean, not that I don't think that they do it a lot, but I do think they look at fan films and stuff like that. And they're, I do think that, there are people in the production of Star Trek and CBS. I don't think like Alex Kurtzman sitting there going, yeah, that's a great idea. Like, no, but I think there are people in the production that might watch they know you guys are out here. There's so many fan films that it's like, there's no way they don't know that you guys aren't out here making this.
Here's the thing. CBS can't say we give this our blessing to anything that anyone does. They can't do that. But what they can do is nothing. And so they have this way of saying something while saying nothing. And we've been doing these fan films for 5 years. I've never heard from them. I doubt that I ever will, because really the guidelines are about keep making sure that the fan films are legitimately made by fans. That's the point of the guidelines as far as I interpret it. The other thing was they didn't want a fan film to be made that could be mistaken as actually being their intellectual property. No one's going to mistake a Vance film for CBS. And that's not a knock on Vance. He's proud of that. But by the same token, nobody's going to mistake an Avalon film for CBS either. And that's fine.
You never know. Yeah. But your production value is pretty good.
In any fashion, you know, I can make 5 years.
Well, but now, just you know, now that I'm in the No Project production unit, the Constar universe, as the greatest bad guy of all time, you know, I think people might, you know, and I can't wait until Vance gets me on screen, because I've said my lines and all of that, and I've done some of my acting. Yeah, I can't wait to, you know, to fuck things up. You know, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm just gonna be back in 1 second to show you something, just so you guys know to remember who I am.
Oh, here it comes. I've seen this. I know.
I know what he's going for. Oh boy. You know, I had a question for you, Josh.
Getting the mask, isn't he?
Okay, we'll steer the topic back on conversation back on topic here in a minute.
So, what are your thoughts on doing a Enterprise era episode? Like, you know, because you're kind of doing some anthology stuff, and Enterprise is always that era that I have so much love for, that, you know, I feel doesn't get enough love.
Underrepresented.
And I mean, you know, like, even if it's something like that involves the Romulan War, or something that involves maybe the Romulan Peace Accords, you know, how did that happen when they've never seen Romulans before? I mean, what they do, just park up and say, "We have peace, stay out of our lane. Here's the neutral zone."
I know that there are other fan films that are trying to explore that topic. I know that there are at least 2 different fan films called the Romulan War.
We actually, our first fan film reaction was on one of those fan films. Okay. Very first one. It was actually called a fan-filled commentary.
I don't have any plans to do Enterprise era at the moment, but you know, you never know. And we do have a thought on what we want to do once the 23rd century era story is over. We do have a thought about what we want to do next, and you will see a piece of that manifested at the end of Once and Future Captain, where there will be a scene that's kind of showing what we're wanting to do after this. Should we do that? You know, that's a goal. And I think once we get, you know, it's right now, it's like we just got to finish this, and it's such a huge task that we're going to do this, finish, you know, these few films, take a step back, think about it, figure out what what our time frame is, maybe take a break, maybe do something else, and then kind of revisit the core story and go to the next thing we're thinking about doing.
Commodore Boone asks, "Is Zam getting the whips and chains out?" I certainly hope so.
He's putting on,
Did he promise you a scene? Did he promise you a scene?
This, in my video, to paying homage to that cocaine-fueled bitch, Kimberly Guilfoyle, the best is yet to come.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Now you gotta bathe in.
I have to wear this hat, because if I don't, then my ears get folded down, and so and plus my nose, I got like a huge conch, and the other one as well, but nevertheless, it's pretty huge, so it gets flattened quite easily. But this helmet, top notch, man. I'm very happy with it.
Well, now you got to bathe in the waters of Mandalore, so nice going. Now you take your helmet
bathe
off.
Yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka.
Once you put it on, you never take it off.
So, with Zam, we need a chastity belt like that.
I think that's what we were.
Man, we are going off the rails here. Demonetized.
So the interesting thing about Knights of the Void is that it wasn't supposed to be a film. And
Okay.
what I mean by that is the original, what became this film was like three different things. The original thought process was that we would have these other films like The Needs of the One and Crisis, and then we would have these post-credit scenes where sections of this would play out, right? So if you go back and you watch Agent of New Worlds, at the very end, there's a post-credit scene that is part of the Mason and Archer story. And the original plan was with each Avalon film, you just get a post-credit scene that would have the Mason and Archer story. Until we got to the Once and Future Captain, then it would be a really big, huge element to it. And we just decided, no, let's just do a Mason and Archer film. And so we took those scenes, stitched them together, and made a film.
Well, and I said this earlier about this film, and I don't know if I said it since you've been here, but this episode really felt like, and I don't mean this in a bad way, like a filler or connective tissue film, and that actually tracks a lot. Like it's a filler episode in a good way. Like it is connecting tissue, it is pulling things together. So I think I said that to Tyler earlier, and that's kind of, and that makes a lot of sense where you're saying this episode kind of came from, is it's just a lot of that connective tissue, and you just pulled it together into its own thing, which, as I said, I'm a Dragon Ball fan, so I can appreciate good filler. Like I know what good filler is.
Well, and there's also like a big exposition element to this for things we're setting up, for not Crisis, but Once and Future Captain, where it's like, the role that the cosmic stream aliens may play in that, the role that the Romulans and Klingons may play in that. What is the purpose that the cosmic stream aliens had in putting Mason and Archer 5 years in the future instead of returning them to their own time? So there are lots of questions that we're setting up answers to, and then setting up what's going to happen after that.
Also, Daniel Vance says, I know pizza rolls, therefore I know good filler.
I've already spoken to Tyler about this, but I would like to hear it from yourself. Playing Joseph Austin, would you like to maybe lead a particular episode instead of being just a supporting actor and doing your Hitchcock thing of just showing up in cameo roles?
Normally when I do a lot of acting, I tend to act in someone else's fan film because that's easier because they're making it. It's not that I don't want to do it. I tend to act because as a director, I want to understand the experience that the actors go through so I can relate to them better. So that's mainly the reason that I do it. But I have given some thought to like a really short, Admiral Austin fan film. I have a very loose idea on a plot I might do, but that would require really bringing in a lot of other people to help, because if you were on set for an Avalon Universe set and you see what that's like for me.
I can imagine. I can totally imagine being director and actor is hard.
By the time it's over, so it would be very difficult. So I would have to have like a solid group of people to come, just hand it off to, because that would be a pretty difficult thing to do. Doesn't mean I'm opposed to it, but a lot would have to fall in place for that to happen. What I will say is, for that one scene, I relied heavily on my friend Neil. Hopefully he'll come in here and talk to you guys here in a minute. He was the director of photography for this episode, and he brought levels to it that really made it outstanding. Like if you look at the engineering scenes in particular, the green screen studio that we shot on was his studio. That was a studio he built. And so the lighting in there was so amazing and interactive because he engineered the instruments that were in there and programmed, the DMX controls and all that. So we were able to really push the limits of what we could do. And on that day when Tyler and I were acting, I just handed it off to him. And, he would call action. He did all kinds of stuff. And so it was special. It was like a really neat moment because I'm like, I'd been thinking about, okay, memorize my lines. Oh, makeup. Okay, do we have all the gear? Like I was doing all of the things I normally do. And then I sat down in the captain's chair, and then it just sort of hit me what was going on as Tyler was walking up to me, like, oh, I'm in the scene. But it was there was this magical moment when I looked over and I saw Tyler standing next to me, and he's performing, and I'm in the scene with him, and I was just overcome with emotion in that moment that I'm like, I'm doing a scene with Tyler. It was really special.
Sorry, Chio. Has Tyler got any ambitions to maybe take up some directing? I mean, I forgot to ask him myself.
Well, he helps with that already, to a large extent.
Okay, he's like a second unit.
Well, no, he does. He's right in there with me most of the time, because what'll happen is all kind of big picture things a lot. It depends because the days they're not always the same because the availability of people to be there is inconsistent. Sometimes you can have more people there, sometimes you have less. But there'll be times when I'm doing like a big picture thing where it's like some people are setting up gear and I go in there, okay, this is what I want. And then I'll go into another room and Tyler's in there and he's got all the actors and he's rehearsing the scene with all the actors and he's giving the other actors direction and notes. And he's got my full confidence to do that. And so I come in and then he runs the scene for me with him and I watch it and I may give some of my own notes, but I leave crafting some of those initial performances to him. And then I just kind of add my layer to it. So he co-directs with me a lot of the time. And you'll see that a lot in Crisis and in Once and Future Captain, that he's a big part of that. So he's directed before. He's actually really good at it. He's really good about getting a group of people together, a group of actors together, going through the scene, getting it where it needs to be, bringing them in. Okay, here we go. And we can really fine tune it there. And he'll add improv to their stuff, just like he adds improv to his stuff. He and I have been doing that together for a long time. He even will give me direction. So it's like, he's a very good director too. And let me tell you something, the place where you see it the most is with Warren Hawk. Because the thing with Warren Hawk, who plays Commodore Jaconde, Warren gets nervous. Like if you get him on set and you point a camera at him and it's like, oh, this is the big scene. You just like, okay, Warren, this is the big scene. He'll get real nervous. He'll struggle. You have to get Warren to relax to get him to act. Tyler gets Warren to relax in ways I've never seen anyone. He just like gets in there and hangs. They were best friends the moment they got on set together. Tyler does like this amazing Warren Hawk impression, and he does it in front of Warren. Warren's like, hey, do that impression of me. And Tyler's like, man, I have got to get you in this tobacco vape, and then all of this stuff. And Warren was so like chilled out on the set when we were shooting last year. He almost fell asleep. He's like sitting in the captain's chair and I'm doing this shot and it's a wide shot and all the other actors are acting and Warren's like, and I was like, hey, Warren.
Oh, it's like Zam on a podcast.
I was like, hey,
I'm
Warren,
trying to get better, but yeah.
You want to be in this scene? So,
oh man, great. Yeah, we've had experiences with Zam with that. So Zam just starts nodding off during podcasts.
Yeah, I'm falling asleep recently as I'm getting older in podcasts. I'm trying my best. Since seeing this episode, I can really see where it ties into the next part.
Well, Terry's seen it all because she was there when we filmed everything. So
yeah.
Terry knows what's going to happen. But let's brag on Terry for a second. By the way. She lives near Neutral Zone Studios and she takes care of the place. Like she doesn't just go in there and act or whatever. She goes in and like vacuums the floor. And recently what she's been doing is she goes into the studio and repairs stuff. Like she goes in there and she finds like set pieces that maybe need a touch up on the paint job, takes them down, takes them to her house, works on them, repaints them. She's like single-handedly like refurbishing Neutral Zone Studios, like one plant on at a time or something. And it's a really neat thing. People like that are like the heroes of fan films. You know, like we owe so much to people like Terry. Terry was doing things while we were filming, like, you know, making us food and just whatever we asked for. Like she helped out with, I think, every aspect of production. And you know what we did? We killed her on camera.
Oh God! Well, you know what? You can always create a twin or make her an alien or something like that. I'm sure. There's ways.
I did earlier when you were talking about that scene between you and Mason. I did mention when Tyler was on here about that scene where you were where you were in the captain's chair and Mason was like right there beside you. And it's funny because looking back at like one of my first experiences with Captain Mason was you two sitting across the table from one another. You know, like when Mason was sitting across from Admiral Austin or Commodore Austin or whatever you were back then. And yeah, it was really great. Like, because it was a great parallel because then Mason walks up and Mason's on your bridge and you're both you're not standing together, but you're in the shot together and it's more of a warm together. So I really enjoyed that part because I saw that parallel right away.
We're going to have a couple more scenes together. Austin and Mason are going to have a couple more scenes together, and they're going to have one really, really special scene together that we have not filmed yet. It's going to be when we do it. I think it's just going to be me. We've filmed some of it, but there's still an element of that scene that's yet to be filmed when Tyler and I are, the last scene that he and I are going to have together. It's going to be a scene that transcends. It'll have a very important part of the story, but it's a scene that's going to transcend the film. It's going to have great subtext for real life about what our friendship means to each other and what this project has meant to us. There was a period of time where he was not a part of the production, and that's because I made the wrong choice. And it's a choice that I realized was the wrong choice. And so we right some wrongs on and off screen in that scene. And it's very important for both of us.
That sounds Go ahead, Sam.
Just some comments here. I think he means me. Hey, Sam, I need a villain in my fan film. Well, as long as he's got no redemption arc and then totally fine with that. Phony Beatlemaniac says, good to hear that. I've got a question. When you write dialogue, do you write it for the actors' cadence of it? Is it more letting the actors add stuff in the scene? Yeah, do you let them improvise?
Definitely both. You try to, well, for one, you write the character. You identify who the character is and you try to write for that character. And then, once you film with an actor enough, you kind of know what works for them. Like Agent of New Worlds was written more for the way Pixie did it. But then when Alex did The Needs of the One, I got a real good opportunity to see her acting style and what works for her. And so I was able to, she brought a different element to the character. She made the character more mature. She did a transition. And so when I wrote the material for Crisis and Once and Future Captain, I was able to incorporate that. And then, of course, yeah, you do let some improv is very, very important. Alex brought some improv elements to a lot of the things she does in Crisis, and Tyler definitely improvs things. There was just, sometimes with Tyler, you just let him improv. You just roll camera and let him do whatever. And he will give you like 3 or 4 different versions of some take. It's like one of those things where it's like sometimes you get an actor that will do it the same way every time. And that may help for editing, or you have an actor that gives you, like Tyler, who gives you different versions of the performance, and you pick what you like. So there's a value to all of it, and we
agree.
do all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was doing stuff with Vance, he always told me what sort of tone he wanted, but he let me improvise here or there, go off script a little bit here or there, say what was on the script a little bit differently, like rearrange the words or something like that. But he always made sure that but he always told me what tone he wanted. He was fundamental on that, which was
Vance will give you 20 different versions of the same line. What Vance acts through like basically cue cards. You know, he's got the lines in front of him, and he'll look at it and he'll go, "I regret."
Oh, he's on Marlon Brando.
And then he'll look at it again, and he'll do 20 different versions of the same line. Yeah, he Marlon Brando's his lines. So either we actually rigged up a teleprompter for him when he was shooting with us for Vance. we built a teleprompter and let him read off a teleprompter. But he either wants to read it or he wants you to feed it to him off camera. He doesn't want to memorize it. That's fine. Look, that's the way he works, and he's made 200 films, and look, Vance is a great actor. You know what I mean? So it's like he said to me, if I come down there and film, this is how I want to do it. I'm like, what do I care? You know, like we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? People do what works for them. Band films isn't about like we must do it this way or screw you. It's about having a good time, you know? And for me, it was more important for Vance to come down and have a good time filming with us than be like, you have to memorize your lines. Like, I don't care. It's not worth it.
Vance is a good actor. He won when we did our awards ceremony last year. He won best villain for Mirror Menard 2022. So yeah, he's absolutely. I've always loved Mirror Menard. That character, you know, I've told him kill off Menard and just be Mirror Menard. It's far better.
Well, you will see the Phantom in Crisis. Vance's evil villain will be there.
Playing bad guys is so much more fun. It's so much more fun. Yeah, I mean, honestly,
professional working actors will tell you that.
Yeah.
Bruce Campbell. I was at a convention 20 plus years ago, and Bruce Campbell was on stage talking about Hercules. And he was like, "Man,
yeah, but he was more anti-hero in Hercules. He played the King of Thieves."
But he said he was like every other character. We always like the other actors. Like we almost feel sorry for Kevin Sorbo because like all the bad guys get the best lines, and Kevin Sorbo is like, "You'll never get away with it," you know, or whatever. So yeah. Playing a bad guy or an anti-hero is always a lot more fun than playing a hero. But, you know, here's the thing. We talk about Mason growing the beard. Mason's changed. He's become more of a hero in these last few films. When we started out, there was really a, you know, the butt of every joke, Mason's a smart ass kind of thing going on. And there was this relationship that he had with the other characters where he was almost kind of irritating the shit out of one of them. And, you know, there's this bizarre thing with Archer, but it's like Mason has grown. He has become a hero. And I think the character's better that way. But look, there's still elements there. And Tyler really puts where that shines is the improv. So Tyler will improv a line that's not in the script that perfectly brings out Mason's personality for that's like I'm glad you think I'm that creative. He's got some, you know, he's got this fight scene in Once and Future Captain where he's just irritating the bad guy the entire time. Like he's just, you know, punching in one-liners during the battle. That's just all Tyler improving.
That's the best way to do it. I mean, in my opinion, I mean, it's as we were talking about with Mason being with Tyler, Mason being an extension of Tyler. You know, it just feels natural that way.
Well, and I'll add too. I mean, again, talking about films down the road, but Once and Future Captain, the big fight scene between Mason and the principal bad guy is all improv. Like, we just tossed the script in a garbage can, and Sean Patrick Kennedy came to me and was like, "Hey, you know, Tyler and I have been talking, and what if we tried this?" And I was like, "Go right ahead." So.
Some more questions here. Sorry, more comments actually. Myth Dusted says Terry does a great deal on fan films. She enjoyed being killed off in the film. Yep, I'm sure she did.
Say the question again.
Yeah, she enjoyed being killed off in the film. Yeah,
she had a great time.
I know there are actors who like their characters being killed. You know,
to be fair, she asked for it. She was like, "Hey, can my character die?"
Yeah. I thought the Admiral couldn't command the starship, but be an Admiral at Starfleet Commandos. I mean, well, no, the point is that they've reached that rank, or you know, so if they have to go on a starship, they're more than capable of captaining it because they were a captain.
Admiral, Kirk was an admiral in the motion
Kirk
picture.
Riker commanded a ship as
Janeway. Janeway in Prodigy commanded the ship as vice admiral. You know, so
and I'll say is Austin not only commands that ship, he named that ship.
Yeah, badass.
Which that brings up the next comment to the question from Daniel Vance. Looks like that'd be a good segue.
Yeah, I know the ship is named after Joshua Chamberlain, but is there any significance to the 2021 in NCC 2021?
2121.
2121, sorry.
There's no significance to 2121. That was just, I think I just pulled a number out of my butt. But Joshua Chamberlain, of course, is who I'm named after. Joshua Chamberlain, if you're not familiar with him, is he was a brigadier general in the American Civil War. Who he was actually the person who accepted the battlefield surrender of the Confederates in the Battle of the Five Forks. But he had a very significant role in the victory for the Union at Gettysburg, where there was a sub battle going on called the Battle of Little Round Top, where there was like a little hill on the flank, and they were in danger of losing that, and they ran out of the Union regiment commanded by Joshua Chamberlain ran out of ammo. And so what he did was he said, "Fix the bayonets," and he charged his men down the hill. And the Southerners were like, "What the hell are they doing? Like they're just coming down the hill like crazy people with their bayonets, you know, coming at him." And Southerners
turned tail and ran.
Booked it out of there.
Well,
they could have lost that. You know, the North could have lost that day if he didn't do better.
You know what you can do is you can hire our very own Major Rage. He's kind of got the mustache and the beard going on. You could put him in a Civil War outfit, and he could be a general that a time traveling Mason or Admiral.
If you ever wanted to play a bad guy, mate, you got General Custer nailed, mate. Yeah, I mean nailed. Yeah, I would love to see, but he's such he's such a pleasant guy. So I would love to see him play someone evil. You know. By the way, we just give him a Myth Dusted an education. I've just learned that Marlon Brando never learned his lines in Superman films. He read completely off cue cards. Yeah, that's why we mentioned Marlon Brandoing it earlier regarding Vance, because that's Marlon Brando for you in a nutshell.
He gives this speech about, you know, the son becomes the father and the father becomes the son, and it's this real profound speech. And he's reading his lines off the baby actor's diaper. You know, like baby Superman's diaper. The lines are written on the diaper.
And somebody who cares for my father is 84 years old, and I take care of him, and I actually buy him diapers. Funny enough, because he's of that age and stuff, and on the odd occasion I've had to clean up after him and stuff like that. Truly, the son becomes the father, and the father becomes the son. And, it's a circle of life. They look after you, you end up looking after them, and so that's how it is right now with me and my dad.
That's me and my mom.
Just
I've become the father. I can tell you that, and I've got 2 sons that are very interesting. My youngest is a Tasmanian devil, and I find myself applying some of my own father's techniques to getting him to calm down.
I mean, gin and cough syrup work. I mean,
just
NyQuil. Is that why Timmy's so chill?
No, Timmy's not chill.
I just want to quickly show you guys something. We were mentioning Smokey and the Bandit earlier, and Tyler said you'll send me a couple of pictures. So I'm just going to quickly show you some of these two pictures. Here we go. If it loads. So there he is. This guy. He's a Burt Reynolds impersonator. Obviously playing the Bandit there, next to Tyler, who looks short enough to be Michael J. Fox right there. To tell you the truth.
Well, I think Michael J. Fox is shorter than Tyler.
Sorry, Michael J. Fox. Yeah, Michael J. Fox was a short ass. He was like 5'4". But there's another image of the same actor playing the Bandit. Awesome stuff. There we go. Okay, so you said there's somebody else we could speak to, Joe.
Let me go check.
Yeah.
I will be right back. But guys, thanks for having us on. I really appreciate the opportunity. We love what you do. You keep us entertained. We talked before coming on tonight, and I just said, as long as the movie makes Zam not want to end his own life after watching it, then I think we're in good shape. And so,
I'm
glad.
By the way, and before you go, by the way, like, I'm not sure if you've joined this, but Tyler definitely has. Vance definitely has. You fan filmmakers have joined us for fan film reactions of other fan filmmakers. So if you guys, want to see that, people like Josh, people like Tyler, people like Vance Major who make their own fan films, join us for fan film reactions. Subscribe to NerdTube and you'll see that for sure.
That's right. There's a whole playlist.
Yeah, there's a whole catalog of these guys. Special guesting some of our stuff. So check it out.
We'll bring on Vance. It's like, oh yeah, I'm not in this one. Put it on. He's in it. He's in it.
Yeah, I know. There was a one fan film. He's like, oh my god, I'm in this one.
So the
person that one fan film I was in, remember? So
yeah,
the person we're gonna bring on next, I'm gonna go check on him. His name is Neil. I want to explain what he does. He was the director of photography for this film. So that's something that sometimes I do on these films. He did it. He took it to the next level. So let me go check and see if he wants to talk, and we'll be back in a bit.
Thank you so much for joining us, Josh.
Yeah, thank you so much, Josh.
See you later, mate.
I'm
Here he
learning
comes.
a lot here. Awesome. Get to ask some of your questions about the shots, Cheeto.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir. Welcome to the stream.
Oh, don't call me that. I work for a living. Thank you, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to meet you.
It's a pleasure having you on, sir. Oh, there I go.
So just remind us of who are you again, and what do you do?
Who is your daddy and what does he do? My name is Neil. I am the director of photography on the Avalon films.
All right, we need your social security number and banking numbers. All right, hold on. Let me grab the pen.
Hang on, let me get that for you. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I had a scammer call me the other day, and they started asking me questions like that. And I just figured, why don't we just make them angry? So I did.
If they sound like this, or hello, my friend, they sound like that. Yeah, hang up on them.
It started out electronic because they have AI voices doing it.
Yeah.
And they're really good, but you can kind of tell
really good.
You got an ear for it, considering I deal with AI voices on a regular at work. And then suddenly, here, let me pass you off to my call handler, and blah 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 blah. And then someone got on. I don't even remember the accent. It was just I was figured, how angry could I make them? Because if they're going to waste my time, I'm going to waste theirs. So
Well, I had this one person ring me up. Sorry, just before we go on to the meat and potatoes here, I had this one person ring me up, and she goes to me, "Hello, Mr. Patwar. I understand that you would like to buy an Apple iPhone for £954. Do you still want to complete that purchase?" And I go, "Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I would like to complete that purchase." And she was not expecting that response from me because she probably expected me not to be wanting to spend close to £1,000 on an iPhone, because I would never do that. But I'm an Android guy, and
Right.
that caught her off guard. That caught her off guard, and then she just said, "Okay, your phone will be coming soon," and she hung up. I knew I'd never spent that money. I knew they wanted some of my personal details and stuff like that. I'll never fall for it, you know. So yeah. Anyway, so you are one of the people who make the magic happen, so to speak, and you've been working with Josh for how long?
Lord, I worked with Josh on basically. Josh and I have known each other since 7th grade, and we finally started working on things, outside of work, because we both worked at the same TV station at the same time. And he was working in sports, and I was working in essentially the production side of things. And we worked on a film. I think the first one was called, sort of blanking on it second, but it Satisfy My Soul was the name of it, the first one. And it was an interesting experience. Both of us had gotten out of film school. It had been a couple of years, and we're trying to do something because, quite frankly, the day in, day out was just boring as can be. And so we wanted to do something fun. And then, we did that. And then we came back and we worked on a film called Tough to Kill.
Yeah, we've seen that.
We love that film.
Fantastic. Love it.
That's where
Absolutely
Tyler
love
and I
it.
really got acquainted. So,
That film, because initially when we were acquainted with Dan, with Vance Major and Josh and Tyler, they kind of knew us as the guys who ripped on any of the fan films that we saw, because unfortunately for them, like some of the stuff we happened to have seen of theirs were probably not their best work, which is why we were so negative. And because we knew they knew that we could be quite creative in our lingo when it comes to being negative, they gave us Tough to Kill, thinking that we would tear it a new one, but we absolutely loved it. It was hilarious. Didn't take itself too seriously. Good dialogue, funny moments, excellent twist at the end. It was brilliant, and if anything, I think they were more shocked that we loved it, which was kind of surprising. I actually like it because it's really good to see Josh and Tyler outside their box, so to speak, and do something totally different from Star Trek. And I'm hoping maybe if I know life is difficult as they're getting older and they've got kids and they've got more responsibilities, but I would love to see more non-Star Trek material from them. But yeah, Tough to Kill was awesome, mate. Absolutely loved it.
Tough to Kill is going to be the next one.
Or
yeah.
Tough to Kill Again, or Tough to Kill Rides Again, something like that. I think that's very doable. I think it would be a hell of a lot of fun. The thing is that Tough to Kill came before Star Trek. But I do remember getting introduced to you guys, ironically, through Tyler introduced me to NerdTube, because you guys had critiqued, I think it was Demons or something of that name.
Yeah.
And all I remember is Tyler's like, "Gosh, you listen to this." I can hear Zam, I think, in the background going, "Who the fuck is Mason?" I'm laughing my ass off at this thing.
That's become something. That's something you can put on a T-shirt nowadays. Oh God.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this: that particular criticism, we were all sort of thinking it. We didn't want to say it, but we were all sort of thinking it at the time. There were creative decisions made by other parties that are no longer involved in our production. So
yeah,
Well,
there has been
we've
a
actually
massive turnover in Avalon
and
when it comes
we've
to
talked
the
at
actors.
length with Josh and Tyler about that. But so we got in with Demons, and there was that whole thing, and that's how we do. Like we make the best of friends after we rip on people's fan films for some reason. I mean, we normally think people are going to hate us, and then just like it just usually works out for the better. And I mean, we then watched Ghost Ship, which we absolutely loved.
Yeah.
So and so it actually does seem like, you know, the roller coaster of the Avalon universe sometimes, where it's like, you know, just because of, you know, creative differences and stuff like that in some of the Avalon properties. But yeah, so it, you know, long story long, I mean, it, you know, we are very grateful to meet everybody over there at the Avalon universe. So I want to talk to you a little bit about, so you are what's the word I'm looking for? You worked on not visual effects, like the screenwriting, right?
He's the director of photography.
Director of photography. Okay.
Yeah, I have worked. Josh will come and he'll discuss his ideas for the plot, and we'll sort of bang around on it. And like, okay, what if we tried it this way? How can we tie these plot elements? And it's very collaborative. I'll say that, and that's one of the wonderful things about this production is we're all very collaborative in all of this. So.
No, that's great. I mean, obviously the director obviously needs to work with all facets of the post production and the production team, not even post production team, to make these things work. So I mean, there were a couple shots in this that I actually kind of stood out to me that were a little bit more not different, not really different, but like that stood out just more. Better production value than stuff that we had seen in the past, because I'm not saying that this is how it always was, but a lot of times in these fan films we see a lot of, like, you know, stagnant camera angles. You know, people are in the hallway and it's a stagnant camera, but you have action going on. And there were a couple scenes where I saw, you know, it seemed like there was some, like when, you know, the damage was happening, there were some really good scenes that almost seemed like TV quality, you know, photography, you know, and I'm assuming that has to do with you. So, I mean, have when you're doing like your photography and everything like that, like the photography angle of everything, how do you go about thinking, okay, in this scene here, this is what I want?
Okay. What generally happens is we look over the script, and I usually, as I'm reading it, I'll sort of stop and close my eyes and let the movie play out in my head. And how do I, as I'm seeing it through my mind's eye, what am I seeing?
Well, and hopefully not Mason in a dress, but I mean,
God no. You know, anyhow, look at it. How does it appear to me? What if there's a need to move the camera, then we'll dolly it. If we need to do what a dolly can't, then we'll try and rig up something like a Steadicam or some sort of gimbal to hold it. And then, you know, if we really, really need to move it, we're going to work out a way to get a crane in. So it's usually in that order. You know, I try to avoid moving the camera unless the script calls for it. But that's one of the ways. And then it's also, what does the script say, and how can my camera work and lighting enhance and help the director tell his story and enhance the performance of the actors? So, you know, if you can't see them, you've got radio. If you can't, you know, obviously if you can't hear them, you've got surveillance. So, you know,
gotcha. And it does. And there is one scene that just it seems like such a basic thing, but it works so well. Is that scene with where you're looking at Admiral Austin in the captain's chair and Captain Mason standing right beside him, and just the dynamic there. Is that just something that you it just kind of happens because of the friendship there and the atmosphere, or is that something you purposely were like, no, I want this angle right here because I feel like this is going to give us the perfect like moment between these two characters?
I believe on the day, this was about a month and a half ago that we shot that particular scene. We walked onto the bridge. Ironically, it's in Harrison, Arkansas, which is the weirdest thing in the world. You know, why is there a set in the middle of bumpkus nowhere in Arkansas? But that'll blow your head. It gets even weirder where the rest of it is. So Josh is telling me about the scene. You know, I'm standing on the bridge about where the helm console is, and I can kind of see what he's going for. And we're setting up the slider, and he's saying, okay, when Mason walks down from the turbo lift, he's going to step down and he's going to move. And I want you to move the camera over to here. And I'm looking at it, and it's like, all right, okay, I'll follow it through. And I did a couple of practice shots, and I think we had a stand-in sit for Josh, and then we had Tyler stand in his final position. So I would pan the camera, and Josh would look at a monitor, and he goes, okay, that's what I want.
Okay. So yeah, so it's very pre-planned, which is good. I mean, as I said, that Josh Irwin, yeah, I say his whole name every time. The Josh Irwin. Josh actually says here, he's commenting. He says some of the most fun times are pre-production meetings with Neil and I have. So I think it's that I have. Maybe I don't know.
Daniel Vaughn's got a question.
Oh. Is it
right at the bottom? Right at the bottom.
When you and Josh disagree on a shot, who ends up being right more often?
Well, Josh sometimes has an idea about how things, what he sees in his mind's eye, and I see something different. So there are two ways we generally go about this. The first way is he'll say, here's what I want to do. And I'll stop for a second and say,
this is why you're wrong.
What if we try it this way? And if it works, they'll say, okay, we'll try that and we'll see how it goes. And other times, we'll sort of find a mesh because, he's got something from his director's perspective and I've got something from a lighting cameraman perspective. And we find a way to basically make both those work is the best way I can describe it. It's not really about who's right, who's wrong. It's about what supports the script, what supports the story, and is it helping the director tell his story? So,
okay.
You are a director of photography for the Avalon Universe, but do you work in maybe a more bigger productions? And if you don't, then how is this like your full-time job, or do you do this as a hobby, or how does it work for yourself individually?
Right now, I currently work for a municipality that has a television station. It's a public government and education station. So, and I'm the engineer there. So, amongst many other things that I do in that facility. And this is what I would call a very good way to let off steam and a very good way to exercise creative muscles that I don't necessarily get to exercise on a daily basis.
Just a creative outlet, just to get you back into kind of what brought you into the industry to begin with, right?
Well,
is that the vibe I'm getting?
Kind of, and it's also, if you don't, for example, if you don't exercise your muscles, they atrophy. Mm-hmm. So if I don't find different ways to challenge my brain and essentially my visual system and how I want to create a look. For example, in my bedroom here, computer room, I've got a light here it's one of those LED changeable colored lights. I changed it. Okay, blue looks pretty cool here, and I've got a lamp over here. And Josh brought his light here, and I'm playing with it and that kind of thing. Again, we got the green screen set that we used for Tori and for Tyler. And we were shooting that, and it's like, okay, how can I play with these lights that I don't normally do? So again, it's exercising muscles. It's essentially like going for a walk, keep those muscles going, and it pays off in other ways in other ventures as well, I find.
Most things are cross applicable for sure, especially creative type things.
What brought you to, this hobby profession? What inspired you to go down this path?
Well, ironically, it sort of started when Josh and I were in junior high. We met, we talked about our shared interest in Star Trek and other science fiction related things. And, we were goofing around, playing around, and, his dad works at a TV station. And I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. That's kind of fun. Plus, I can't do factory type work. I'm just not wired up for it. So something like that. in and every day and it's predictable and monotonous. I can't do that. There are other people who can do that. God love them. I can't. I'm not wired for it. So this is an interesting thing. So, I went. It was after high school. I survived what I call the 12-year prison sentence, which is American public schools, and got out of that.
Same.
Tried to figure out, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I said same. American public schools. Yep.
Ugh, yeah, not an experience I ever wanted to repeat. And frankly, a 4-year college was. Now I get to pay extra money for it. Oh boy.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah, didn't do that. And Josh actually came to me with this school in Orlando, Florida. That's a technically focused college. And, we both went to it. I basically had to find something to do with myself. And, working a fast food job was not going to cut it. So, I went there and I thought, okay, this is fascinating. This is fun. I get to do something completely outside the realm because where we are in the country, these jobs are starting to develop, but there's no industry. This is not Los Angeles. This is not New York. So all of these jobs are slowly starting to develop. And thank God for the democratization of what used to be insanely expensive equipment. Now it's gotten a hell of a lot cheaper, and the quality of consumer grade stuff has gone up. So people can actually make a movie on their iPhone. It is watchable. Unlike, getting like the cheapest, flimsiest thing they could at Best Buy. And you're looking at it going, okay, what am I looking at here? So,
I mean, you've got all these additional equipment now. Like you've got these sort of like devices that will never make the camera shake. You hold it, and I've got one of those things myself. I haven't really tried to make a film out of it, but you've got tripods and various other things. Yeah, it's amazing what people can do. I've actually seen some fan films just being made just solely on an iPhone. There's only just one person filming it, nothing else going on. There's no lighting or anything else, and it's kind of remarkable what they're capable of doing. So I've actually, funny enough, I actually was with CNN. I know this sounds weird, but my profession is a cab driver, and this guy from CNN got his cameraman to sit in my front seat, and he had an iPhone on this tripod device which stays steady, and we drove past this vehicle that they wanted to film, and we drove past it. We let the vehicle go past us. We drove behind it. We drove in front of it. The vehicle then drove behind us and drove in front of us, all to get these unique shots left and right of it and stuff like that, all on an iPhone. Yeah. So, yeah.
I think it's important for the listeners out there to realize that while the really nice gear makes life easy, makes it a lot easier to do things, it's not preventing you from going out. And first and foremost, it's not about the camera. It's not about the lenses. It's not about the sound equipment. It's about the story you're trying to tell. And once you get that down, everything else from there is sort of downhill from that. When you tell a good story, even if it's shot on an iPhone. I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube, and it's people who are just documenting things with their cameras, and they're walking around talking about things and giving me a perspective into things I wouldn't have otherwise experienced, which, okay, cool. But again, the price for all this stuff has come down tremendously. And that makes it more available to everybody to help them tell these stories. And at some point, we're going to get away from the green screen world, and we'll all be doing LED volume sets like they are on Mandalorian or Strange New Worlds or any of these other LED volume set, the LED walls that cover everything, and therefore we don't have to cut out the green behind people. So,
and we've God, I don't know how many fan films we've watched, and we watched all types. We watched fan films of like the highest caliber, and we watched fan films where people have just recorded it on their phones. But for me, I think the most fundamental thing, regardless of the production quality, I think is the acting. If you can pull off if you can pull off a story that makes it seem realistic by the expressions given by the artists, then it doesn't matter how crap it looks. That alone that alone makes it enjoyable. I mean, I've always been very critical because I've seen certain fan films, and some of the acting is just so bloody bad that no matter how good it looks, the acting lets it down big time. And then people they write in the comment section and they complain to us saying that we're not Oscar winners and stuff like that. But you need to release your personal I can't think of the word right now, but
bias.
It was a self-reflection of how people will portray you, and have and just let yourself go. Yeah. And really let yourself into the performance. But I think some people are stiff because they're worried about how they look and they don't want to embarrass themselves. But in a way, they're embarrassing themselves by being so fucking stiff in the first place. So it
creates a negative feedback loop on itself.
Yeah,
blowing up. But yeah, I mean, the idea here again in the Avalon universe, at least from my perspective, is trying to avoid anything that pulls attention away from the viewer, away from the story that's being told. So, for example, if I do some really amazing whiz-bang lighting with all these effects, and someone goes, "Hey, that's some amazing lighting," I think I've kind of failed in a way. And, there you go. I think I've kind of failed because I've pulled away the viewer's attention from the story. And suddenly it's like, oh, this gimmicky thing is on screen. So it's always, the temptation is there to really push the limits on stuff, but you also sort of want to pull yourself back and say, okay, what's really going on here? So
yeah, the simplicity. Sometimes the simplicity speaks volumes in certain scenes.
Yeah, and
are you working with anybody else? Sorry, are you working with anybody else outside of Josh?
No, not really. I don't have a whole lot of time outside my other interests, and I figure focus what I'm doing on this, and we'll see what other interesting things we come up with inside the Star Trek world and outside. So,
and you're a Star Trek fan. Fundamentally, are you a Star Trek fan?
I'd say tentatively yes. I really like this. I have liked the series more along the lines of, I think Star Trek really was in its heyday up until DS9. Maybe it started going down a little hill a little bit with Voyager. Enterprise started to get bored, but then they canceled it. And it's interesting. The Star Trek from 2009 forward, I'm starting to see it, and it's like, ugh, boy.
I could totally understand you saying it going downhill with Voyager, because by the time Enterprise came along, it was already rock bottom. So yeah, it totally makes sense. So yeah, I know where you're coming from.
Yeah, I know. Voyager really made it hit rock bottom. Sorry, we have personal discussion or personal rivalries going on. Zam is a Voyager fan, and me and Mage over here are not. And
I have no real issue with
and what it could have been, and the stories they tell, they have some really good ones in there. Like, for example, 39 Days is probably my favorite Voyager episode, just because it takes the idea of the ship in the bottle episode and brings it to a different realm entirely, where we don't really see that kind of thing, and it also allows for some characterization for Paris as well. So it has its moments, and we have this thing called Pluto TV here in the U.S. made by Paramount, and they are streaming on one channel. They'll do original series and Next Gen. Another channel they'll do Voyager and DS9, and it's good to sort of vary things up a bit. So, because you gotta admit, some of the first couple seasons of DS9 were kind of rough.
Yeah, I mean, every Star Trek has those rough opening seasons. The only shows that I would say actually had excellent starting seasons would probably be Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds, truth be told. I mean, TNG was pretty rough starting out. DS9 was rough starting out. Even though it's my favorite, it still was rough starting out. Voyager
all the way home.
Yeah, Almer, yeah. So, and even Enterprise, I would say the first season and a half was probably, it had some major issues in it too, and didn't get its footing until the second half of season 2. So I definitely agree with you on that. Do you
read that one?
Oh, sorry.
Read that one first.
Neil and I became friends in 7th grade when we saw a drawing of DS9, or when I saw a drawing of DS9 on his binder.
Yeah, we had a science
drawing.
class, and it was excruciatingly dull. And I entertained myself by drawing the traditional, shape with the inspired arms coming out of the station. And Josh goes, "Oh yeah," and that's where we sort of hit it off.
So we've always asked we've asked Tyler and Josh before. We're bored with them. We're gonna ask you now. What is your favorite Trek?
I think it shifts, and it depends on what mood I'm in. I personally really enjoyed the last season of Picard, not the first two.
Which is a lot of
everybody's on that.
Yeah. I'd say of recent, that's probably been the best. I have some very fond memories of Star Trek: The Next Generation because it came on when I was, I guess I was 6 at the time when it came on when I was living in Oregon. And I remember watching it from the beginning. And there's some fond memories of that. And of course, DS9, although, as I go on watching it over and over again, I start, it's like, okay, I've kind of seen this before. And, DS9 is all right. I'll tell you, recently they've been running the remastered version of the original series again on Pluto TV, and there's some decent storytelling in that. Now, granted, yeah, it's really low budget compared to today's standards, but at the same time, I'd rather Paramount spend its money on better storytelling than whiz bang effects and really nice, big, pretty, elaborate, sets. Because if you don't have good story, what do you got?
This is true.
Yeah,
very true.
And I also have to say that TOS is really my weak point. I mean, it's, I really just cannot sit and watch a lot of it. But I'm a VFX kind of guy. Like I really do appreciate the remaster of TOS. Like I know it's a little bit, and I don't think it betrays TOS at all. All it does is make the model work, which is fine. Like I don't have an issue with the model work in the original, but with the VFX now of the it just gives it that extra feel of this is sci-fi. So
yeah, I think it helps a lot with that. Compare and contrast Deep Space Nine versus Babylon 5.
Oh yeah, that's a hot topic here on this channel too.
Optical work. While the stories on Babylon 5 were really good, and once you get past the fact that they were using lightwave and computers back in the mid 90s, that it's like, okay, I can ignore that for a bit, and the story was really good. But trying to watch the HD upscale versions, you're just like, oh boy, ouch, could we re-render these shots, please?
Are you talking about DS9 or Babylon 5?
Babylon 5.
Yeah,
because they didn't do CG and DS9, I think, until the 7th season.
Yeah, during the Dominion War. Yeah, it was. Yeah. They kind of had to at that point because there were so many ships involved.
Yeah, the optical process, you couldn't afford to do it that way.
Yeah, no.
So,
if I could go back, I tried to get involved in Babylon 5. Unfortunately, at some point, there's like so many bloody shows, Battlestar Galactica reboot as well, and all of that. It's just like,
Babylon 5 is
and even Stargate and stuff, which initially I was on board with, but I thought, this is just stupid, and I fell out of love with it.
I think one interesting compare and contrast between DS9 and Babylon 5 is that Deep Space Nine was written from largely a secular viewpoint, where the Babylon 5 series definitely has very Christian leanings to the way it was written. And, I can appreciate that. But it's fascinating. It's kind of like C.S. Lewis and Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. In a way. It has that
J. Michael Straczynski really leaned into that when he was writing Babylon 5.
Yes. And it's interesting to see two different takes of the future. Now, you mentioned things like Stargate SG-1, and that I think is kind of a fascinating show. Now, granted, the first episode, because the first season came out, I think on oh boy, I can't remember the name of it. Showtime. It was on Showtime at first, and everything with them was how much nudity can we show? And the first couple of episodes, you're like, whoa, this, it didn't match the it matched the TV series, it matched the movie and name only and stuff. And one thing I've noticed and ties into SG1 a bit. Somebody mentioned that that the writing, and one of the things Josh has said is that he wants Avalon Universe to have the same lightheartedness that, even though Stargate SG1 and its follow-on shows, with the exception of Universe, which as far as I'm concerned is garbage, it never took itself too seriously, even though it was a very heavy subject at times. You could always find ways to laugh. And I'm seeing that starting to creep back into the Avalon universe, and I'm very happy to see it. Because Ghost Ship, even though it was kind of a dark show, it still had really funny moments.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it was hilarious. Like they're going all Arnold Schwarzenegger on all the zombies. I found it hilarious.
And then, of course, we had sort of what we call our dying and crying period, where a couple episodes of Avalon, and now we're getting back into a more lighthearted, positive view of the future, which I think is more or less along the lines of what Star Trek is. And that's where I think modern Trek is failing, is that we have more of a positive view of where we're wanting to go with this. And the scenes where, I can't believe you think I'm that creative, or, Rob Zombie pounding on the table and the little communications panel falling over and Tyler saying it back up again, completely improv.
He was telling us that, and I mean, honestly, that was so. But he played it off so natural, and it just worked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's one of those wonderful things when you get the right people in all of the best positions. You can turn them loose, and first of all, you got to be able to trust them. And I think that's a big thing. I don't like micromanagers. I can't stand them, and what that says is that you don't trust the people that you have in those positions. So why are they in those positions?
Mm-hmm.
But Josh trusts us. Tyler trusts us. I trust them. And we're just sort of having a great time doing all of this. And when something funny absolutely happens, as Josh says, you have to balance the humor with dying and crying. He's right about that. And if you want people to laugh, you got to make them cry. And if you want, people to feel sad, you got to make them happy. So it's all about balance and being able to contrast emotions and things. But
I think there's also a bit of corniness with Star Trek too. Like, I mean, as I saw in today's fan film, like, we're going to be captured by Klingons and die. Oh, golly gee. It's like,
Camp kind of goes hand in hand with the Trek.
Yeah, exactly. So,
there's
and by the way, Jim, I love all Star Trek as well. Yeah, even Enterprise.
No, you don't love Enterprise. Get out of here.
Well, I mean, I think it's right. There is sort of a corniness and a lack, and sort of this, for a show that takes place in the future, that's being shot in modern times with aliens that all breathe, for the most part, all breathe air, all have
humanoids,
and speak English magically. We're willing to suspend disbelief. It's kind of like if you watch Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I was doing a sort of a thought experiment. I was watching it, and at first, when they're riding up, and they've got the coconuts and they're banging them, they're mimicking the sound of horse hooves. At first it stands out, it's jarring, But you go an hour and a half into the movie, and suddenly your brain realizes, wait a minute, I've accepted this, and it no longer stands out to me. I remember watching it, and I'm going, that's weird.
You know what? You do know why they ended up doing that, though. Yeah, because they couldn't afford to hire horses.
Yeah.
So
necessity is the mother of all invention, and we find that a lot. There's a lot of times, and the reason we largely do a lot of TOS stuff right now is by strange coincidence, there's a lot of TOS sets. There's the bridge in Harrison, Arkansas. There's the other sets that exist in Flippin, Arkansas. There's the Kingsland sets. From what I understand, there are a couple other places that have them. It's just what we have available to us, and I hope to change that, where we have other sets that we might be able to use for other storytelling. But that's far off in a not too distant future, I hope. But it's what's available to us, and what fits and what we can do with what we've got. And sometimes we find that we encounter what we think of as a problem. But sometimes the problem is just an interesting way of sort of flipping something on its head. You know, when you have a problem, I usually stop and think, okay, maybe we're approaching this from the wrong viewpoint. Let's stop, turn around, let's look at it from a different angle. And sometimes that just illuminates a new path for us.
Okay.
Well,
Okay. So
I'm sorry. For me, it's getting close to 4 o'clock in the morning, so I'm going to have to depart because I'm going all
actually.
I'm going
Okay,
all
so
very
let's go ahead.
bobblehead. I'm so sorry,
gentlemen. Let's go ahead and wrap. Neil, thank you very much for joining us here. We definitely have more questions for you.
We'll have to
and
have
maybe
you back on next
yeah,
time for sure.
We'll have to have you on, or maybe if you connect with us. I mean, we do have guests that come on with us for our fan film reactions, and we would love to have you join us for maybe a fan film sometime. Maybe there's something that we maybe, or if you have a fan film you want us to watch and you can maybe join us for it.
Okay.
Absolutely would love to branch out and network with you, and just we love having the camaraderie in the fan film field. Thank you very much for being on here, Neil, and definitely enlightening. I mean, we love Josh, we love Tyler, but it's always nice to talk with. I mean, I know we've talked with Glenn Wolfe before, who was a part of this production technically, but we were talking with him on one of his other films. Obviously, talking with you. So we love talking with all the different facets of these fan films, and what goes into the process of bringing these things together.
So many different people have to work on so many different sides of it, in front of and behind the camera, adjacent to the camera. So it's nice to get all those different perspectives of the process and kind of present that and kind of give your point of view and your experience to our viewers.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. Your space yeah. Yeah, Josh is right. The future spacecraft is a metal building in the middle of nowhere.
Hey. All right, everyone.
Yeah, you can join us in the future, Jim, for sure.
All right, Mage, do you want to take us out, or you just want me to take us out?
No, I can take us out. Want to thank everybody who showed up tonight to join us in this very special fan film premiere, reaction, and interview. It's been awesome having you on, Neil, Tyler, and Josh. We're a pleasure to have as interviewees, as always. Thank you so much for coming out, asking your questions in the chat, for spending your time here with us this evening on NerdTube. If you've enjoyed what you've seen this evening, please consider giving the channel a like and a subscribe. Hit the bell icon so you get our notifications, because we do so much stuff here on the channel. It's insane. We don't have time to go into what all we cover here. So you'll just have to subscribe and find out. So I want to thank you again, sir. Thank you to Josh and Tyler. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thank you, Cousin Cheeto. Thank you, Zam, for staying awake to the wee hours of the morning. I thought we were going to hit a donation mark. I thought you were going to nod off and I was going to have to donate some money.
I was close. I was close. I went all bobblehead Ron DeSantis. I was very close.
As long as you don't go Mitch McConnell on me, man.
Oh, no. Yeah, don't worry. I'm not having a stroke anytime soon.
It was a seizure. Come on.
Yeah,
that looks like a mini stroke. I had my grandma stroke out on me.
We're having a Gary Nadler moment.
Well, this has been a NerdTube production. Thank you so much. Live long and prosper, and thanks for watching the best channel you've maybe sorta kinda heard of. Until next time.
Night, everyone.
Night.
May the force be